Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the 10th webinar in the series of the webinars on Transgender Persons Act of 2019 and the rules accompanying in the year 2020. So welcome to the 10th webinar. So this was a project that we got from the National Institute of Social Defense, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment to conduct 10 webinars. We are the host, Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee at Amity Law School, Noida. Amity Law School, Noida is the largest law school in the Asia Pacific region, and Amity University is a research and innovation driven university. Following the ideals of our founder president, Dr. Ashok Chauhan, sir, today we are 12 universities in India with 16 global campuses, 28 schools and preschools. So to begin with this session, this is the 10th webinar. Let's all seek the blessings of the goddess so that we get blessed. And with that, I'll be sharing the screen of Saraswati Vandana. Just give me 1 minute to share the screen. 1 minute.
ॐ भूर्भुवस्सुः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। हे शारदे मां अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे मां। हे शारदे मां अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे मां। तो श्वेत वर्णे कमल पे विराजे, हाथों में वीणा मुकुट सर पे साजे। तो श्वेत वर्णे कमल पे विराजे, हाथों में वीणा मुकुट सर पे साजे। मन से हमारे मिटा दे अंधेरे, हमको उजालों का संसार।
So now that we have sought the blessings of the goddess, it's time that we begin the webinar. So let me introduce you to the guests that we have today. We have in the panel Dr. V.K. Mishra sir, who's assistant professor in Tripura Government Law College, Agartala. We have with us Dr. Monica Bharadwaj ma'am, who's assistant professor. The Law School, University of Jammu, we have with us Dr. Abhilasha Raj ma'am. She's assistant professor at the Amity Law School, Noida. We have with us Dr. Neha Gupta, who's assistant professor, Amity Law School, Noida. We have with us Advocate Ajit Verma, Advocate JNK High Court. We have with us Dr. Suparna Vinayak ma'am, who's assistant professor, Amity Law School, Noida. We have with us Ms. Nipunika Shahid, who's assistant professor, Amity School of Communication, Noida. Without any further ado, I would request Professor Dr. Aditya Tomar sir, who's additional director and joint head of the institution, Amity Law School, Noida, and also the head of our Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee, to present his address. Over to you, respected Aditya sir.
So, formally, good afternoon to all of you. Firstly, I would like to take the privilege to welcome our guest, Mishra Sahab from Agartala. He's a very good friend of mine and spare his valuable time. Our colleague, Dr. Suparna Vinayak, Dr. Neha Gupta, Dr. Abhilasha Raj, and most importantly, Dr. Monica Bhallaji, who just gracing the occasion on this very sensitive issue. So I hope that these deliberations would be very fruitful for the students and the persons who are working or just planning to work on the areas related to disabled persons, transgender persons, and so I would like to thank to the ministry who just supported in this marathon webinar series. This was a efforts from the side of Amity Law School Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee just to cater the needs of these very important sections of our society, that is transgender and the disabled. So with these words, I just open the floor to our esteemed guest and panelists who can start the deliberations and which would be uh, most fruitful for all the attendees who are available on the Zoom platform and attached with us through the YouTube channel. So thank you very much, Dr. Smitra.
Thank you, Aditya sir. It is under your guidance and directions that we are now proceeding on doing so many great things for our committee and also for the university, society, the nation, and the globe. Thank you so much for always inspiring us. So today we are actually very hard pressed with time. We are beginning with the webinar and then we have the valedictory session also immediately after that. So I think if all the speakers speak up within a range of 10 to 12 minutes, and then we can take a quick question and answer round, I think we all will finish within time. So I will first of all request Dr. V.K. Mishra sir, who is assistant professor at the Government Law College at Agartala, to present his address, and then I'll request Monica ma'am after that to present. Over to you, Mishra sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, madam.
Over to you, sir. We look forward to your presentation.
Thank you, madam. Am I audible, madam, and visible?
Yes, sir. Both audible and visible.
Thank you. Good afternoon to all. Once again, today after 2 years, I saw just director sir and felt very happy to see him. And just well as this topic, the transgenders, welfare activities, welfare schemes regarding the transgender persons has been selected, and various topic that I am able to see that various topic has already been discussed, and myself is asked to be limited on the welfare activities and welfare schemes of the transgender person. So just after few days back, we conducted I was also the part as a presiding officer in the election duties in Tripura general elections, where first time in 2 documents, that first document was 17A, the voters register, and another was voters turnout register, in which I found a new thing that wherever it has been provided, where is male, female, and the same the numbers of transgender. There were male, female, and transgender. It just gives me very new feeling and empirical feeling that now it was 1871 when the Criminal Tribes Act 1871 got the transgender as criminalized, transgender activities as criminalized. And this journey ends in 2019 when our Transgender Person Protection of Right Act 2019 was enacted and enforced. It was a very, one can say that it has been very strugglous and very miserable journey for the transgender persons. Actually, nobody knows that what would be the gender, what gender he is carrying with himself after his birth or with his birth. But it has been very miserable journey for that. That up to 2019, when the law comes, then we have to see everything with the eye of law. So when the Transgender Person Act 2019, where is it concerned, we'll see that 23 sections are there, and most of them has been interested with the welfare activities of the are fulfilled with the welfare of the transgender persons. First of all, when we read the preamble of the Transgender Act, we see the protection of right. They have the preamble start with the protection of the right of transgender person and their welfare, and for the matters connected therewith and incidental thereto. The preamble in itself is very progressive and has given a very good definition that we are now going to protect the right of the person whose rights are not protected. And the definition of the family in section 2C, when the family, then the group of the people related by blood or marriage or by adoption made in accordance with the law, that is the definition of family for the transgender person. It has always been a problem and very critical issue for them, that how they will define their family, where we see that after their birth, various of them are very renunciated by their families or as per rituals. Apart from this, in the inclusive education has also been awarded to them. And not only this, that under section 19, National Council is also provided. Apart from this, just after the definition clause, a very good section, that is the prohibition against discrimination, which in itself a welfare activity, that we can say that it is a welfare activity that has been given to the transgender person, that under section 3, in the services, in the employment, in the occupation, in the health service, in the use of general public services, in the right to movement, right to reside, right to use the public and the private office, denial of such type of things are provided in under section 3. Apart from this, recognition of the identity of gender. I will like to quote here the first female transgender member of Parliament of Poland, Anna Guzeka, who has said that a person, a human being, either male or female, how can we give them a third gender? This question she has raised. She has also settled with this proposition that it may be good for the Indian situation, but in Poland, she has expressed that we are residing. Transgender persons are not living in a separate community or out from their home. They are living in just like the simple members in their homes. But in India, prior to 1994, they have got the right to vote, and after third gender, they would be able to do. They have be able to do various activities just like a person. But prior to that, their position is uncertain. Apart from this, under Article 4, recognition of identity of transgender person has also been awarded to them by the district magistrate, and change in the gender. This also has been made possible. Apart from this, section 8 is provided, especially for they have said that the welfare measures of the government, in which I have analyzed section 8.3 and 8.4. That is section 8.3. Appropriate government shall formulate welfare scheme and programs which are gender sensitive, non-stigmatizing and non-discriminatory. Apart from this, section 8.4, the appropriate government shall take the state for the rescue, protection and rehabilitation of the transgender person to address the need of such person. And this article, apart from this inclusion in the society, government will take welfare measures as may be prescribed to protect the right and interest of the transgender person, facilitate their access to welfare scheme, and these all things are provided. Apart from this, section 9, non-discrimination, section 10, obligation to the establishment grievances mechanism. These all things are provided. Healthcare facility, vocational trade, these all things are provided. Apart from this, under Article 16, National Council is provided, in which a very vast National Council is prepared. Apart from this, these are the main. I have just overview the Transgender Act 2019, because when again I am of opinion, when the law comes, when the welfare law comes, then we have to see all the things with the mirror of this law. Apart from this, Government of India has launched the Smile scheme, that is the support of marginalized individual for livelihood and enterprise. One thing I was missing, that the transgender persons has been included in OBC category. In OBC category, earlier in 2011, when I had completed my research work, then I had started to work on the transgender persons. At that time, I had a very peculiar problem that I had a very peculiar problem. I had a very peculiar problem that I could not understand at the time that whether the lesbian and gay person will also be considered as transgender person. But in 2014, in Nalsar judgment, the Supreme Court has already stated that the gay and lesbian persons are excluded from the definition of the transgender person. So these two things, that is, they are included in the OBC, other backward classes, and the lesbian and gay person will not be included in the transgender person. This is very progressive. This is the most welfare thing that has, in my view, that has been done with the transgender person. Apart from this, whereas my view is concerned, in the 10 or 12 minutes, I think it is a 10 or 12 minute concern. The only thing I will like to say that not only, but I will also revise some welfare, welfare scheme, that is the Smile, that it is not oriented for the national education policy, in which 100% gross enrollment ratio is to be ensured. There is rupees 356 crore has been allocated to the Smile. Smile is the main welfare scheme that has been launched for the not only transgender person, but in which transgender person has also been included. Apart from this, there is another gender inclusion fund in Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, and scholarship schemes are also under Smile. Apart from this, they are also the beneficiary of Skill India Mission, and they are also the beneficiary of skill training through Priyam Pradhan Mantri Dakshata or Kausal Samapan Hidgiri Yojana. And apart from this, for their welfare, Garima Grih, that is the shelter home for transgender persons in near about 12 states. In 12 pilot projects, Garima Grih has been set up, and there is also for there are also some schemes under Smile for their medical health. That is the composite medical health under Smile. Each transgender person they will receive the insurance of 5 lakh rupees under Ayushman Bharat Yojana, and financial assistance to the transgender for some medical treatment has also been assured by the government. And these are the welfare activities is done with the government. However, one question: these all things has been done on the side of government, but whether it will change the position of the transgenders or not, it is still a question. Yes, it may be said that it is a very empirical and very progressive beginning in our country to ameliorate the condition of the transgenders, because now they have become the persons of mainstream. We have given him the third gender, as well as we have made them OBC, that they may be direct benefit, and we have segregated the lesbians and gay persons from this category. But now the main thing is that stigmatization and that acceptance by the society is the main thing. There must be some sensitization on the part of the other person that they are also have become the transgender by the fault of not their own. We must accept it. We must accept it, and we should make them the part of mainstream, I will say, and just like Indian. These all that I think. So apart from this, I will also say that one thing I have to submit here, that Supreme Court in 2014 had also advised all the state governments to set up the Transgender Welfare Advisory Board, in which the Manavi Upadhyay has become the first principal, first president. The Manavi Upadhyay is also the first college principal in India, in Krishna Gore Women's College, Kolkata. It is situated at Damdam. That Manavi Bandyopadhyay is also the president of the West Bengal Transgender Development Board. So these are all the things that has been, apart from this, there is a advanced transgender dance school, that is Prakriti Dance Academy in Kolkata. Apart from this, we have in Tamil Nadu, we have also get our first transgender lawyer, that is Satyajit Sarmila, and various activity. Now they are coming in the mainstream of the Indian society, and it is very welcomeable. And I would like to thank the MT Law School at this moment, that they have selected very progressive topic. Earlier in COVID period, I had seen that various thousands type of such programs, webinars, very good programs, but in regarding transgender persons, very few programs are being organized, but we need a more. And I had seen the total curriculum of this webinar series, that various and all aspect of the transgender persons has been covered. And with this, I
Thank you, V.K. Mishra, sir, for the wonderful address. And yes, Amity Law School, Noida, Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee is very thankful that you are here to present. Thank you so much, V.K. Mishra, sir. So today's topic is about the government schemes, and you very well talked about Garima Greh. So the other day in the webinar, we were just thinking if the ministry, no, because today we always talk about public-private partnership. So what if an equivalent of Garima Greh can be provided by the private players? So I think that will be a great help for the transgender community. Amity Legal Literacy Committee is also planning to run certain online awareness programs for the transgender persons. This is all in association with the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Thank you, Mishra, sir. There would be a few questions which will be taken up later on. And right now, I'll now request Dr. Ms. Monica Bharadwaj, ma'am, to present her address. Over to you, respected Monica.
I'm audible, Smitra?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Audible and visible.
Good afternoon, one and all. And first of all, I would like to congratulate Team Amity Law School, Dr. Aditya Tomar, Director, Law School, Amity Law School, Dr. Sumitra, Dr. Nitin Sharma. And I also extend my gratitude to all of them for providing me an opportunity to be part of this webinar series on transgender and their rights, which is organized by the Amity University. So in earlier sessions, the eminent speakers already discussed Transgender Person Act 2019, NALSA judgment, rights of transgenders, the social and legal status of transgender persons in India before and after passage of this Transgender Person Act 2019. International commitments for transgenders were also discussed in this webinar series. So I will focus on welfare initiatives and the schemes and policies for the transgenders undertaken by the government in India. So as we know that earlier we have two genders, that is male and female, but presently we have concept of third gender also, that is male, female, and transgender. So who is transgender? A person, a transgender is a person, or it is a person, it is someone whose gender identity does not correspond with the sex assigned at birth. And in India, transgenders are known as Kinnar, Hijras, Jogta. And when we talk about the main difference between the normal human and the transgender, it is just that the normal human beings are fertile, whereas the third gender are sterile. So third gender is a concept in which individuals are categorized either by themselves or by society as neither male or female. So for a long time, the transgender community in India has lived at the fringes of society, and lots of problems were faced by the transgenders. And the most common problems faced by them includes discrimination, lack of family support, unwanted attention in public, then lack of medical help, then right to residence with their parents. Um, it was only after the landmark judgment by the Supreme Court in 2014, which was popularly known as the Nalsa judgment, already discussed in the earlier sessions, that transgender persons were legally recognized as a third gender. Even the government of India, over the courses of year, has made consistent and significant efforts in working towards trans-inclusive society. Safeguarding the fundamental right, that is right to live with dignity, under Article 21 of the Constitution, I will focus how the central government measures in the last few years have been furthering these rights of the community. So transgender persons faced several issues of discrimination historically, like exclusions from their families, absence of dignified livelihood, and inadequate access to health, shelter, welfare, and employment. The government of India has enacted several welfare acts and rules to address these issues for provisions of identity, then education, shelter, livelihood, skill development, and protection of rights against the community of the transgender. So the number one in the list is the Transgender Person Protection Rights Act 2019, which is already discussed in this webinar series. Uh, but I'm going to give just a crux of this act. So basically, this act, it seeks to mitigate the stigma and discrimination and abuse against the marginalized section and bring them into the mainstream of the society. This bill has various provisions regarding non-discrimination in education institutions, recognition of identity, and confer upon them right to self-perceive, then provisions of right of residence with their parents, formulation of welfare schemes for education, health care, and National Council for Transgender, which helps them to advise, monitor, evaluate measures for protection of their rights. Next in the list is the Transgender Person Protection of Rights Rule 2020. These rules were formulated and published in the Gazette of India in September 2020 and seek to recognize the identity of transgender and prohibit the discrimination in the field of education, employment, healthcare, holding or disposing of property, private office, and access to and use of public services and benefits. Now, here I would like to cite some examples, and the latest one is the Padma Lakshmi, who becomes Kerala's first transgender person to become a lawyer and enrolled as an advocate with Bar Council of India on this Sunday, that is on 19th of March 2023. Another example is Nas Joshi, who won the Miss World Diversity Beauty contest 3 times in a row, and she is India's first transgender cover model. Aishwarya Rituparna Pradhan, country's first openly transgender IS officer. So lots of examples are there. Then there is a National Council for Transgender Person constituted by the central government. The Union Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment is the chairperson, and Union Minister of State for Social Justice and Empowerment is the vice chairperson of the council. The council's main functions include to advise the central government to formulate policies, programs, legislation, and projects with respect to the transgender, as well as to monitor and evaluate the impact of these legislations, policies, programs, and projects, and also to redress the grievances of transgender persons. Besides this, we have another scheme, that is SMILE. Now here SMILE stands for Sport for Marginalized Individuals for Livelihood and Enterprise. The Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment launched an umbrella scheme, SMILE, which covers several comprehensive measures in including this welfare measures for transgender community and for persons in the begging profession, with a focus on their rehabilitation, medical facilities, counseling, education, skill development, etc. Now, with the help of the state government, union territories, local urban bodies, NGOs, it helps in setting up of the Garima Grass 2, which provides shelter facilities to the transgender. The ministry has allocated rupees 365 crores for scheme from 2022 to 2026. Next in the list of the welfare schemes is the National Portal for Transgender. The Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment launched a national portal for transgenders on November 2020. Any transgender applicant can obtain a certificate of identity without any physical interface with the Office of Issue. The transgender certificate and identity card are nationally recognized and are provided by the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. And the certificate is a mandatory document in order to avail the welfare measures being provided by the SMILE scheme. Then empowerment of transgender persons through education is another welfare initiative by the Government of India. The National Education Policy 2020 outlines the vision of new education system in India. NEP 2020 identifies transgender children as socio-economically disadvantaged group and provides for equitable quality education for all the students. This includes provisions for assisting transgender children in gaining access to education and participation in educational institutions. Gender Inclusion Fund will be constituted under new policy to provide equitable quality education for all girls as well as the transgender students. Then Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan is an integrated scheme for school children covering entire group from preschool to 12th standard. It effectively works towards bridging the social and gender gaps in the school education. And there is a provision of scholarships too for transgender students studying in standard 9th and above under the SMILE scheme. Then Government of India, it also launched the various skill development and training schemes for in order to empower the transgender. And under Skill India Mission, the Ministry of Skill Development and Enterprise has implementing Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Yojana, Jan Shiksha Sanstha, Craftsman's training scheme for all sections of society, including the transgender. Then composite medical health under SMILE is next in line, whose main objective is to provide health insurance coverage to all the transgender persons living in India to improve their health conditions through proper treatment and medical support. During COVID-19, the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment through National Backward Class Finance and Development Corporation has given rupees 1,500 to each transgender through DBT, that is direct benefit transfer, and additionally provided assistance for ration supplies to the transgender person. Besides this, owing to distress pandemic situation, a free helpline number for transgender was made functional for required psychological support and counseling. Arrangements for safe vaccination was made by the government. Then transgender welfare boards are established in various states, and the state of Tamil Nadu was the first state to introduce a transgender welfare policy. Now, according to this policy, transgender people can access free sex reassignment surgery in government hospitals, free housing, various citizenships, documents, admissions in government colleges with full scholarships for higher studies. Government is taking care on the welfare of third gender, and the government of Tamil Nadu has constituted Third Gender Welfare Board on 15th of April 2008 in order to redress their grievances by providing livelihood opportunities, educational institutions, and social security through which third gender are given an identity in the society. Third gender who are inclined to earn their livelihood through a decent way and respectable professions are provided with financial assistance to start up the small businesses. The government provides monthly pension to help third gender who are above the age of 40 years, and government has practically initiated the process of providing employment to third gender in various government departments to lead a dignified life. Third genders are recruited as sub-inspectors, physiotherapists, constables, and two-thirds of them are posted as the lab assistants in various health departments. Third genders are appointed as security guards in Government Medical College in Tanjavur district. An award for third gender of rupees 1 lakh and a citation has been instituted from year 2020 in order to encourage the third gender who has done eminent work for the welfare of the third gender and who has built their career on their own effort. The award is facilitated on Third Gender Day, which falls on 15th April of every year. Even transgenders are eligible for the free legal aid services in India, and transgenders with an annual income less than 2 lakh rupees are eligible for free legal aid services. Now, other major steps towards trans inclusivity are in 2016, the Ministry of Railways introduced a third gender column in its reservation form. Then pension scheme for transgender was implemented by the Minister of Rural Development. And in April 2020, the Ministry of Personnel asked all the central ministries and departments to modify relevant examination and application forms to include transgender as a separate category for all the government jobs. Now, with these legal developments and society slowly moving towards more trans inclusivity, there are many stories emerging every day of transgender persons breaking barriers and becoming experts in their field. I have already cited examples of Padma Lakshmi and Noor Joshi. Besides them, Nartaki Natraj is there, who is Padma Shri awardee. She was first transgender person to be conferred with this prestigious award in 2019. Then Dr. Aksh Sheikh is another trans woman who is Doctor of Community Medicine and Assistant Professor at Hamdard Institute of Medical Science and Research, Delhi. With the legal recognition, policy support, and transgender community being identified under SEDG, the movement for inclusion and acceptance of transgender person has received a strong backing in India. Further, it is the responsibility of individual, both at micro and macro levels, to create a gender inclusive environment around them at their workplaces, households, and institutions. Now, with more awareness, empathy, and welcoming attitude, we can pave way for a country where we respect, support, and celebrate the engagement, expression, and well-being of all the members of this transgender community. And to conclude, I would like to quote the words of a trans woman named Trinity Neal. Her words are, "I want to change the world by making it much more friendly for trans people." Thank you. This was all from my side. Dr. Sumitra?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, very well expressed. And the concept of helping the transgender person that at the core of our Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee. And ma'am, as we had discussed with you earlier, now we have a totally dedicated cell to cater to the challenges and what all help we can extend to the transgender community. The cell is named Transgender and Disability Rights Cell at Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee. And we are joining hands with the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment for their various online awareness programs on the rights of transgender persons. And perhaps we can contribute towards a national portal also. And also, we are trying if we can collaborate with some people and can provide a kind of shelter home to these people. So we are trying to join hands with the corporates also. There is something coming up in which we think both of us can coordinate together, Monica ma'am, that is online basic courses on transgender rights. This is all the activities initiated by the government, basically, which is also the topic for today. So I'll request to join hands together so that we contribute to our society. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Smitra.
Thank you, ma'am. So without any further ado, as today we are also hard pressed with time, but then there is one thing which is at the core of all of us, and that is the rights of everyone. So the transgender community has the same rights as that of any ordinary citizen, and the respect for each other's rights and the others are the supreme form of humanity. And that is what we sought for, and that is a glorious individuality. Having said so, I'll now request our very dear colleague, Assistant Professor, Dr. Suparna Vinayak ma'am, to present her address. Over to you, Suparna ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Indeed, it's a pleasure addressing to all. I'll be showcasing a PowerPoint presentation. Please let me know, ma'am, if it is visible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Screen is seen. Yes.
All right. With reference to the same, I'll go with it. the labor law compliance relating to the transgenders via Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Act of 2019. This is the need of the hour where we are talking about throughout the webinars that the enforcement is required. So this is with reference to labor law. How we can go with the same. This is my initiation towards it. Defining the transgender through the legal sense. How this legal lens can make a difference in our identity is something which is to be recognized. So I'll read the section language which is required over here. Transgender person is a person whose gender does not match with the gender assigned to that person at birth and includes trans man or trans women, whether or not such person has undergone sex reassignment surgery or hormone therapy or laser therapy or such other therapy. Person with intersex variations, genderqueer, person having such social cultural identities as Kenna, Hijra, Aravani, and Jogta. This is something which is required to draw the attention because that's how the protection is extended to them also. So why the difference is being created is because of the rights which were lagging. So with the multiple judgments, I'll be taking the care of the rights, how these extensive provisions can be drawn to them. They have faced several issues of discrimination, historically, like exclusion from their families, absence of dignified livelihoods, and inadequate access to health, shelter, welfare, and employment. And trust me, even students or we as elders, responsible citizens also, are not able to make ourselves comfortable by making a declaration that he or she is my friend. But do we need to ascertain them by he or she? Or is it better to ask about the person himself or herself, how they would like to be addressed as? And that's how we are here to talk about the inclusion of them rather than just making an imposition by the nomenclature we feel like to make them or make ourselves comfortable. So here, this is a need. Over here, the Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Act. This act itself is required to mitigate the stigma, which is required to be talked upon. So how this legislation is creating a difference by going with the first foremost part that it goes into non-discrimination against a transgender person in educational institution, at employment sector, in healthcare services, wherever the association of a common man will be, so the requirement is to be addressed that there will be the equality of the provisions for them too. Further to the same, this act is going with the recognition of the identity, and that goes with the multiple sections which introduces with the certification authority also. This gonna prove further that they'll also have the right of residence with the parents or with the family members, because this is the point where they are lagging with the recognition itself. The formulation of multiple schemes as welfare schemes, programs for education, social security, and the health will be the prima facie for the same. We are also going for the matters to be redressed by the Redressal Forum as the National Council for the Transgender Persons to advise, monitor, and the evaluation of the measures, which is with reference to their rights, which is the dire thing over here. The act itself has a certain rules also, which goes with the easy access of its implementation so that the legislation have its implementation in reality, not just on the de jure, that is factual. We are moving to trans inclusive workplace. So here my address is with reference to the labor compliance. Is it to be put as a just a moral responsibility, or is it something to be quoted as a legal mandate? So here the answer goes that we have legislation to make it a mandate, and that's how employers can address this issue also, where they are facing with multiple issues while going with their identity, going with the multiple mural facilities. So how they can go with the same is by extending a separate, keeping a record whose names, whose designation, how they wish to be called as. And that's the how the employers should create a difference by making the registers and making the entries separately, where the prefix is being targeted, Mr., Miss, or someone who wishes to be called by the name itself. So let's go with the same, because that's the advantage of the induction program, orientation, training program can help with the sense of belongingness. These are the requirements of gender transitions. Whether it is required for the single or for it is a process, something is required to be talked about. Something which requires to the expression of oneself is the need. And it is requiring us to face the challenge also. So what is the challenge which we have come across? This is with reference to the expression and its acceptance. So let's go for the same, because labor law compliance can only be sought if it is being disseminated to all, that there is a no discrimination policy. And that is not only our moral responsibility, it is a mandate on the employer also to go with the friendly environment. And here I talk about its advocacy. Further to the same, I further extend it by defending it, by making dissemination, by making it more pictorial presentation like these webinars. These initiations are required not from that legislative part, but also as a mandate to make everyone comfortable about their rights, which is required thing to make them comfortable about the acceptance, about the identity. For redressal mechanism, we have National Council for the Transgender. As I have spoken, this committee, this council shall be aiding the central government. It will be monitoring, evaluating, and redressing all the complaints whichever they will come across. Certainly, we have labor law adjudicatory process also, where labor law matter will be dealt by the labor tribunal. So how this NCT goes with it? NCT goes with the going with the root level, that is work committee. First, the application is to be addressed to the work committee where things will be sorted up. And if the matter is not being sorted, the worker should not relinquish his or right. And that's how we are taking the lead, by making it clear that it is a council also for the transgender where the matter will be heard and will be taken up. So rather than relinquishing the rights, it is better to execute it for the enforcement. So here we go for multiple schemes also. Multiple schemes goes with the first right, that is food, clothing, and shelter, going with the minimum wages, going with the right of sustenance. And that's how I'm targeting the right of living over here, where state owns the responsibility too. So why there is a differentiation required? Because they are the ones who are targeted for their identity. They are the ones who do not have even the access to the basic amenity. Forget about just the food, only the medical facilities. Nothing is being extended because of the recognition which is lagging. So here the ministry takes the initiatives. Multiple schemes are here to target self-compliance, where we go with multiple schemes also, where state is aiding it to all. So the composition of the council is also making it clear that there will be no discrimination just because it is the employer who can do that. It is not the case so. So it will be a ministry under the social justice and empowerment whose chairman shall deal it, whose tenure shall be of 3 years, where the matters will be dealt in a public administrative way. And that's how we have made a transgender community desk also. Now, this is required because most of the sex workers or the sex complaints do arise. So while counseling, while providing legal aid, while going with the skills which are required for them to develop, here it is the community desk, which is presently functional, where they can register the complaint. And so the counseling number is also being here, where we are going with the portal of the transgender persons, how we can talk about preventing all physical abuse and the mental abuse, which must not just be listed under Mental Health Care Act as a disease. So let's target who we are blaming upon. So these are the rules which do talks about that it has to be read as a parameteria of the legislation. How this identity to the requirement to the execution, and this is the answer to the same. And then we are going with the medical intervention, equal opportunity policy. Although we have certain laws which are making it clear that Equal Remuneration Act of 1976 does talk upon that there will be no discrimination, equals will be treated equals. There will be payment of wage, that too at that particular hour, that is as per periodic 1 to 7 days of the 30 days cycle. But how are you going to fetch this? Do we need to address the matter only to the labor tribunal, or it can be dealt separately? So here we are encouraging them to talk upon their rights also for the enforcement, where Payment of Wages Act 1936 will further elaborate to the Minimum Wages Act, further elaboration upon Payment of Bonus Act of 65 to 1976. If it is not enforced by that, so we are targeting through this legislation where rules also support it. Here we are targeting upon something that is assurance. This assurance is being extended by the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, which extends its allowance also of 1,500 as immediate support for their sustenance. Although Minimum Wages Act is putting a mandate to provide the worker of this nature of any particular association, whether it is a contract for service or it is of service, they will be supplied the minimum wage as 24,000 to sustain themselves for food, clothing, and the shelter. Moving with this, we have counseling service helpline also, which is again extended by the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. This is something which is very fruitful for today's webinar, because this is a platform where we can extend these services at a mass level, and how this counseling service can act as a helpline service. This is something which we all can look forward, because this gonna talk about all the stigma where the mental stress is going on, which can be created to cover up with the psychological issue. Is it just the psychological, or is it something which is restraining a person to get the access to justice? This number and the platform where we are addressing to each other, this gonna help us also to know how good we can be to extend the legal services to them where there is a stigma about it, about reluctance, because reluctance is the point where they fear to go with that repercussion. So multiple initiatives have been taken at different state levels. We have Swikruti, which is with reference to securing the rights for equitable justice. Even state of Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Chandigarh have centered with different schemes and policy mechanisms. We have execution of labor rights also, and it not just began with the enactment itself. We created the difference by going with multiple cases, and that's how we are also quoting Shabna Mossi, who is the first transgender Indian to be elected as public officer. Now look at the level of going with the execution, and that's how we are going with the knowledge, with the skilled one. So here the answer goes with my request to one and all, that this is something which is not dealt specifically in the legislation of transgender, something which is also connected with the labor law. That's how the Code on Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions of 2020 imposes the responsibility on the employers to ensure every transgender person must have separate washroom facility, bathing places, locker rooms, shelters, which is required. That this is something where we are targeting upon survival. So the legislation on the wages, so the code on the wages, and going with my mural facilities to work at a decent manner, to work in a dignified manner, my recognition will be there. My recognition, my comfort will be there through the legislative part. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing a great insight on this topic. It's really very important that we, all of us, and be sensitized on the act and the rules. So there is something different. the other day when we were speaking with the ministry, so people were asking, so you know about the act, but do you know about the rules also? So this is what I want to tell the people that the act is different. The act was formed in the year 2019, and then there are accompanying rules of 2020. Thank you so much, ma'am. We have a few questions which we will take up a little time later. So
All right.
I remember the great German thinker Goethe, who said that I am what I am, so take me as I am. How many people across the globe, in the society, in our vicinity, know that the big word is acceptance? Have you accepted me as I am, or you want me to be changed every time I speak to you? Do you think I should have an artificial veil in my personality and carry two faces, one with the society, one with me, or I can be what I am? So great that this act was passed. And of course, it will be the great contribution of our committee for the society and across the globe and the nation, that Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee, under the directions of Professor Dr. Aditya Tomar sir, Bandyopadhyay sir, our chairman and our founder president, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan sir, we have adopted 5 villages in the vicinity in Delhi NCR, where we provide pro bono services 24/7. And also, with our various wings in the committee, we are catering to almost every part, every strata of the society. So now let's skew the topic. So we have with us our very dear friend and very good colleague of mine. We know each other since many, many years. I think 10 years, Nipunika ma'am. Nipunika ma'am has been an ardent journalist, Desh ki beti. Nipunika Shahid ma'am is one person who has been able to mix media with education, education with the society, and is a true emblem of taking amity to the society. So without any further ado, I will now request dear colleague, Ms. Nipunika Shahid, Assistant Professor, Amity School of Communication, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, Noida, to present her address. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Sumitra ma'am. Yes, not 10 years, I believe more than that, 15 years. Yeah, it's a great bonding. And I'm so thankful to the organizers, everybody, for having me here. And I hope I'm able to add a different value from the point of the media here, because Dr. Mishra, Dr. Bhardwaj and Suparna ma'am have already given a lot of insights and facts about the current situation about the topic that we are talking about, the transgenders. But before that, I would like to show you a short video which will connect the viewers, all those who are here, so that you will understand what I have to say next. May I, Sumitra ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, you can share the screen and
Yes,
also
ma'am,
select the sound option.
I'll just share, yes. Is it?
Yeah, we can see.
You can hear?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
In 2021, 57 transgender people were killed according to Human Rights Watch, the majority of which were Black and brown trans women. That's a new all-time high. What's more, as anti-trans violence goes up, news media coverage is relatively low.
Our study found that the topic received just 19 segments for 43 total minutes of coverage.
That study was of national news networks in 2021 by the not-for-profit Media Matters. The news, whether local or national, plays a big role in what people talk about.
What people see on news, and especially television news in America, informs a lot about how people perceive the world around them.
Which is why Shelley Gregory, a transgender person and activist with the organization Forge, believes more media coverage will help familiarize people with trans folk,
so that the larger community has an understanding of who your trans neighbors are.
And advocates say it's also crucial that the reporting is accurate and representative.
The folks that they are covering are being misgendered, mispronounced, dead names are being used.
DeJorn Gauthier is an entrepreneur, activist, and transgender man. A dead name is the birth name that a transgender person may no longer use.
When they have someone speaking about media representation or the lack of representation, they do not have a trans person speaking.
According to Media Matters, of the 19 national news segments in 2021, only 7 featured a trans person talking on air.
What many trans people are looking for and desperately need is simply to be affirmed in their identity.
Activists hope that with more coverage of trans issues, education, and proper representation, anti-trans violence can go down. In Milwaukee, James Groh, TMJ4 News.
You could watch the report. So media has a responsibility towards society. The media is pervasive in society. More people, is there sound?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so media is pervasive in society. More people have television sets than the college degrees. Everybody has television sets. So for this reason, media is crucial in the spread of information, the way groups of people are represented in the media can be both reflective of, one second, sorry. I am getting some disturbance in my laptop. Probably I'll have to close my window. Just 1 minute. I didn't close that window. So the way groups of people are represented in the media can be both reflective of and influential on society's perceptions of these groups. The transgender community often gets misrepresented in the media. As a whole, the transgender community faces a lot of prejudice in the society. And current transgender representation in the media has the power to reinforce negative stereotypes. Various researchers have represented examples of news, television, movies from as early as 1975 and as recent as 2021. The contents were analyzed for accuracy and fairness in the portrayal of these trans people and transgender issues. Many cases focused on transgender characters, right? In a joking nature, making light of transgender struggles and reinforcing common misconceptions and negative stereotypes of what it means when a person is transgender. Media outlets are irresponsible with their representations of the transgender community mostly. Now, the society needs to hold the media more accountable for the information it dispenses, because media is answerable to the society. The representation of transgender people in popular media has been overwhelmingly problematic. Historical representations of transgender characters in fictional television have featured stereotypical and negative portrayals that do not accurately reflect the real experience of transgender people, and that we can make out after hearing Dr. Mishra, Dr. Bhardwaj, and Suparna ma'am. So both the quantity and quality of transgender representation across all forms of media is an issue. The portrayal of transgender people in mass media reflect societal attitudes about transgender identity and have varied and evolved with public perception and understanding. Media representation, culture, industry, and social marginalization, they all go together, all hint at popular culture standards and the applicability and significance to mass culture, even though media depictions represent only a minuscule spectrum of the transgender group, which essentially conveys that those that are shown are the only interpretations and ideas society has of them, isn't it? So, but However, in 2014, the United States reached a transgender tipping point. And at this time, the media visibility of transgender people reached a level higher than seen before. And since then, the number of transgender portrayals across TV platforms has stayed. Research has also found that viewing multiple transgender TV characters and stories improves viewers' attitudes towards transgender people and related policies if portrayed in a good manner. Now, in recent years, the transgender and gender diverse population has gained a stronger voice in the media. Although these voices are being heard, there are limits on the types of representation displayed in the media. There is a disconnect between trans normativity in the media. There are a lot of researchers, Gates, Caviland, David, Piazza, Spencer, they all worked on these issues, media and transgenders, and they came out that the number of people who identify as transgender and gender diverse has increased in recent years. And their visibility through media in the economic market share has also increased. The increase in this population estimated to include up to 1% of the population is likely due to an increase in the raw population of individuals who identify openly as transgenders. Now, transgender representation is something that is, again, truly lacking in the media, and transgender characters are often portrayed in a stereotypical and harmful manner. But there are a lot of poor researches that are done, and due to that, stereotypical portrayals, transgender people are vulnerable to the stereotypes they see and internalize it. We need now, I'll just talk about the transgender representation in India through films. The latest film was the movie Lakshmi, and there was a television series, Pati Patni or Panga. These are the most recent examples of media with transgender representation. And to the surprise of absolutely nobody, both portrayed trans people in, again, a negative manner. Unfortunately, the lack of research and maybe the movie, these portrayals could not be taken ahead in a different manner. It was just what actually society takes it and how you portray it through the films. Now, there are many journalists who have done stories on the life of transgenders, including me and Geeta Pandey of BBC. I did certain stories when I was in Zee News in 2002, but Geeta could not join today. Those days and now, there is a lot of difference. Earlier, they were hesitant in talking to the media, coming up to the media. It is not the same now because there are very more platforms that have come for them, for everybody. Because however, certain advertisements also have shown certain good representations of transgenders, and social media itself gives their actual self-representation. What we can do about it, that using trans characters as the butt of the joke or for the character development for others is not the transgender representation the trans community is striving for. It is clear that trans characters in mainstream media are portrayed to be seen through eyes of cisgender people, and actual members of the transgender community are not consulted or even thought of when a series of movies is produced. But when I did the stories, I actually went to their houses, met them, and that's how the stories actually came up. Transgender representation can only improve if more transgender people are involved in the writing, producing and acting process of a film or series. Trans people know best what type of representation is offensive and can harm the trans community in the long run. And at the very least, the people involved in the films or series need to listen what is being told to them by the trans community, and ignoring constructive criticism while insisting that the film or the series is progressive and groundbreaking for their transgender representation is dishonest. So times have changed, perspectives should change too. And again, I'll say media has a lot of responsibility. So that's it for me. I wish there was a current media person also in the panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Nipunika ma'am. So that was actually a journalistic lens. And of course, as I was talking before, the people should understand the difference between the act and the rules. And nicely, you have related it with the society and also things, how it is both in India as well as abroad. Thank you, Nipunika ma'am. Well, everybody, this is the 10th webinar in the series of the webinars on Transgender Rights 2019 and the Rules 2020. This will be followed by a valedictory session. Let me tell you that Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee now has a totally dedicated cell for the transgender and disability rights. So because this is the last webinar, I need to upgrade you little on the act as well as the rules. While we know that as per section 6 and 7, there is the provision to obtain the transgender certificate and identity card from the district magistrate. The revised certificate is to be obtained if sex is changed. There is also, as per section 11 of the Transgender Act, the provision for establishment to designate a complaint officer to deal with the complaints relating to violation of the provisions of this act, and that the Transgender Rights Cell at Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee has now joined hands with the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment to provide this kind of sensitization and awareness across the country. So shortly, I'll also tell you about the rules. Well, let me quickly tell you about the Rule 10. Rule 10 of Transgenders Rules 2020 says that there is a provision of the welfare measures, education, social security, health of the transgender persons by appropriate government. So there is the national portal created, and also that there's a National Council for Transgenders. But do all the states in India have this kind of a welfare board or not? So a long way to go, but then a very great initiative taken by the ministry. Thank you, Giriraj sir, and the ministry for this particular webinar series. Having said so, in the line we have with us now our faculty colleague, Assistant Professor Dr. Abhilasha Raj. I'll now request Dr. Abhilasha Raj ma'am to present her address. Abhilasha ma'am, can you hear me?
Thank you, Sumitra ma'am. Good evening to everybody present here. Since everybody has already spoken most of the things, I would like to take up my speech with the help of a PowerPoint presentation. So, ma'am, please confirm if the presentation is visible. I hope the presentation is visible.
Yes, ma'am, visible.
Okay, so I would like to take up this issue with the help of an analytical approach. The welfare measures undertaken for well-being of the transgender group by both government and private organization with an analytical approach. So in order to understand, what I have done is I have tried to break the entire the entire thing into three parts. We will try to first of all understand what was the past of the transgender, the historical background, what was their treatment in the society, what were the welfare measures during that time, and what was the impact of the welfare measures on the transgender group. Then I have tried to cover the present, and the timeline which has been covered in the present is post-independence, after implementation of the Transgender Protection Rights Act. So what is the current scenario with reference to the NALSA judgment, the welfare schemes by the government, and the critical analysis of the effect of the welfare schemes. And the third part of my presentation talks about the road ahead, which is post the announcement of the welfare schemes by the government of India. So what are the steps taken by the corporate for the welfare of transgender employees, and what are the recommendations? So let us begin. I would like to talk about the historical background. Now, if we talk about the historical background of the transgender, and if we try to analyze, we will see that in the ancient Indian text of 1500 BC, the transgenders have been mentioned as the Tritya Prakriti, or the third gender of the human nature. The Vedic and the Puranic literature freely mentions Napunsaka, which means someone with the loss of procreative ability. Patanjali, who is the author of various Sanskrit literatures, also claims that there are 3 grammatical genders in Sanskrit, which is derived from 3 natural genders. So if we talk about the Sanskrit grammar, it talks about Striling, Pulling, and Napunsakaling. So what they're trying to say is that in the past, or in the ancient times, in the Vedic times, there was no discrimination. The Tritya Prakriti existed very naturally, and it was not that the only 2 genders existed. Now, if we take the reference of Mahabharata, Arjun's son Aravan too participated in the Battle of Mahabharata, which clearly depicts that even the third gender had equal participation, and they were also, given equal participation in terms of fighting the Battle of Mahabharata. Eunuchs during the Mughal reign were given important positions in their army and as court advisors. So if we talk about the Mughal period, even that time, they were considered as an important part of the society. There was no discrimination, and they also occupied positions in the army, important positions in the army and as court advisors. Now, the discrimination actually started from the colonial period. During the British rule in India, there was an implementation of the Criminal Tribes Act 1871, which took place, under which they considered transgenders as having inborn criminal tendencies. So this particular act, I think, actually laid down the discrimination. This was actually the act which started creating discrimination amongst the transgender in the society. So what was, the treatment? There was no discrimination during the ancient and the medieval period. The discrimination only began during the Britishers' colonial rule and continued further. As a result, they had to experience acute mental agony and physical trauma, and they were denied of their basic fundamental rights, and hence were forced to live at the fringes of the society. So what I'm trying to depict here is that if we look at the treatment of the transgenders during the ancient and the medieval time, there was no discrimination at all. Now the discrimination began during the colonial period, and as a result, they had to experience acute mental agony and physical trauma, and rights, and hence were forced to live at the fringes of the society. If we refer to the Vedic times, there were no welfare measures which were actually required, because the concept of gender binary system didn't exist during the Vedic and the ancient times. Hence, there was no need for any welfare measures. However, during the colonial period, in fact, there were no welfare measures, but they were actually punished because they were considered as an ungovernable population, and it was assumed that they pose threat to the colonial rule. So whoever wore ornaments during the Britishers' rule, they were imprisoned. So which shows that the fundamental rights were taken away from them. There was immense discrimination, which led to mental trauma. Now, we come to the present scenario. So what is the present scenario? In order to understand the present scenario, we need to first of all understand the demography of the transgender. So this particular data has actually been taken from a research from the Home Science Journal, and it gives and one more thing that I would like to focus upon here is that before 2011, in fact, there was no census which was done on transgender. That's why we do not have any, any demography which is related to the transgender. The census took place in the year 2011, Indian census, and it was found that there are around 4.9 lakh transgender in the country. And Uttar Pradesh tops the list among 35 Indian states and union territories with 12,1916 members. Then Bihar comes in second with 9,987 transgenders, and rural Bengal ranks third with 9,866 members of the third gender. The data also says that in India, over 66% of the population are identified as third gender and they live in the rural areas. Very close to the 69% of the overall population that lives in villages. So they're saying that out of the 69% of the overall population that lives in the villages, 66% of the population are identified as the third gender. The 2011 census also reported that there are 55,000 children as transgender, and this was actually identified by their parents. So probably the report also must have been given by the parents only. Now, census data also reveals that this community has low literacy levels. Just 46% transgenders are literate as compared to 74% literacy in the general population. This was actually an article in the Times of India, May 30, 2014. Now, an important point to remember here is the Nalsa judgment. The Nalsa judgment versus the Union of India. This was a landmark judgment which started helping in changing the scenario. So this was a landmark judgment which started helping to change the scenario of the transgender. Another landmark was the Transgender Protection of Rights Act 2019, which intended to help to safeguard the fundamental rights of the transgender persons. Then the legal recognition also started taking place for the third gender, and in the same manner as males and females, and non-recognition of third gender in both criminal and civil statutes, such as those relating to marriage, adoption, and divorce, etc., is discriminatory to the third gender. This has actually been, said about the criminal and the civil statutes. Now, if we try to critically analyze the welfare schemes by the Government of India, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, there is a SMILE scheme, support for marginalized individuals for livelihood and enterprise. So what is important to look here is not the scheme, but how this scheme actually can impact the society. So basically the SMILE scheme has been launched to probably bring the smile on the faces of the transgender people. This is an umbrella scheme, and a huge amount of financial assistance has been allocated, which is around rupees 364 crore. There are certain sub-schemes also under SMILE, which is Central Sector Scheme for Comprehensive Rehabilitation for Welfare of Transgender Persons. The focus of the sub-scheme is on rehabilitation, provision of medical facilities, and intervention, counseling, education, skill development, economic linkages to the transgender persons. So what is important to look here is that if you do the critical analysis of the welfare schemes by the Government of India, we can see that the government is trying really hard to put the transgender into the mainstream of the society. They're equally focusing upon their education, because education is the basic need and the basic right of everybody. And through education, probably, the lifestyle of the transgender can be improved. And through this, they will also be able to link them to the mainstream. Also, a very important the thing that needs to be remembered is that the welfare scheme by the Government of India also says transgender as a resource. Now, A resource means what? We, since I'm from the management background, we generally call human resources as the resources because they actually help in the economic activities of an economy, which helps in the development of an economy. So even the government of India believes that transgender are resources and they need to be tapped and utilized by the economy for the economic activities. So they may equally help in developing any economy. Now, there have also been some scholarships for transgender students in order to facilitate and support their basic education. The scholarship for students studying in class 9th until post-graduation to enable them to complete their education. I'm sure this is going to help the transgender in order to get the basic education until post-graduation so that they can become independent and they are employable. And they can also add on to the economy resourcefully. There have also been skill development and livelihood programs for the transgender beneficiaries, which are conducted through PM Daksh, a skill development scheme of the ministry, composite medical health facilities in convergence with Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, supporting gender reaffirmation surgeries through selected hospitals. About Garima Graha also, it has already been spoken, but the important thing to note here is that through Garima Graha, the government of India is trying to rehabilitate the transgender people who are actually abandoned by their family. So probably the scheme is also going to be very helpful. But one thing to notice here is that through the Garima Graha mission, Ministry has initiated 12 pilot shelter homes and provided financial assistance to community-based organizations for setting up of these shelter homes. However, the pilot shelter homes were only in the states of Maharashtra, Delhi, West Bengal, Rajasthan, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Tamil Nadu, and Odisha. However, UP or Uttar Pradesh has been overlooked here. And when I was referring to the census of 2011, we saw that Uttar Pradesh has the highest number of transgender people. Now, provision of transgender protection cell also is there and e-services are there, which means that a lot of efforts are being put by the government to ensure the safety and the psychological protection also of the transgender. Now, what is the impact of all these programs? The impact, the names have already been spoken by the other speakers, so I wouldn't want to repeat the names, but what I basically want to point out here is that with the proper support, with the proper help by the government, even the transgender people can also shine in the society. The person named Nartaki Natraj, she was the first transgender person to be conferred with the prestigious Padma Shri Award in the year 2019. I'm sure it must have been really difficult for her, but definitely with her strong will, she has overshined. So if proper support is given, probably we can even help the transgenders to equally shine in the society. Now, I would now like to talk about the contribution of the corporate towards the transgender. Now, as per an article published in the Harvard Business Review on the trans-inclusive workplace, a large body of scholarly research in social and developmental psychology has demonstrated that gendered behavior is learned. So what they are trying to say is that the gendered behavior is actually learned since childhood. From a very young age, the boys and the girls, they are encouraged to display stereotypically gendered behaviors, and they are discouraged from displaying the non-normative ones. So as a result, it becomes difficult to distinguish between expressions of gender and we actually prefer and those who have been socially rewarded for. Now, through this article, it has also been pointed out that work in itself is very stressful for most of us. Now, if the transgender people are working in the corporate, there is an added emotional weight of having to deny and suppress one's identity, puts extra and undue pressure on them. And nobody who works hard and contributes to an organization's success should ever have to feel stigmatized and fearful of coming to work each day. Now, research on how employers can work more effectively, attract, retain, and promote the well-being and success of their trans employees is growing. So the research also says that now the time is changing. The mindset of the private organizations are also changing. They are having provisions wherein they want to retain and promote the well-being and the success of their trans employees also. A study which was focused on LGBTQ employees said that hostility and discrimination also increase absenteeism, undermine commitment and motivation, and decrease their productivity. So any sort of discrimination at the workplace amongst the transgender also leads to the same effect as the normal gender. So it leads to absenteeism, it undermines commitment and motivation, and thereby decreases productivity. A recent study by the Human Rights Campaign found that employee engagement declines by as much as 30% in unfriendly work environment. So this was also the study which was conducted by the Harvard Business Review, and specifically focusing the transgender group. Now, the private organizations which have come forward and which have started recruiting the transgenders are Infosys, Accenture, KPMG, EY, Nestaway, and Sodexo. Now, I would also like to share a small video with all of you in order to show how the corporates are taking the responsibility towards the non-discrimination of the transgender. Just give me 2 minutes. I'm trying to share my screen. Is my screen visible, Sumitra ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, we can see the screen. Can you share the sound also?
Yes, yes. Was it audible?
No, ma'am, when you share the screen, there is a share sound option.
Ma'am, was it audible, the audio?
Ma'am, unfortunately, we cannot hear anything, but we can see the video.
Okay, just a second. I'm really sorry for the delay. Just give me a minute.
वहाँ नोटिस बोर्ड पे लगा दो, क्लासेस जब चल रही होंगी तब आके कर दें पहले।
बदलाव के पहिए सिर्फ पन्नों पर नहीं, रास्तों पर भी चलने चाहिए ना।
So this video was made by Ralco Tires on the Independence Day to show that we are, we have 75 years of independence, but we've still not been able to give the independence to the transgender group. Now, the road ahead, both the governments are asked to take steps to create public awareness so that transgender people will feel that they are also part of and parcel of the social life and not treated as untouchables, take measures to regain their respect and place in society. Now, WHO Constitution states that health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. An important implication of this definition is that mental health is more than just the absence of mental disorders or disabilities. I would like to leave everybody with a food for thought, which also could be a proposal by the, by the Society of Amity Law School, all gender restrooms. So this is all from my side. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Abhilasha ma'am, for the wonderful presentation as well as showcasing us what is the road ahead. Definitely, Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee has joined hands with the National Institute of Social Defense, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, and we are very glad that Dr. R. Giriraj sir has joined us. And also in the panel, we can see our very dear Deepika ma'am is here, Shweta Sehgal ma'am is here. So shortly, I'll be requesting them to address. However, we've got the last speaker to address. I will quickly request our dear colleague, Assistant Professor Neha Gupta ma'am to present her address. Neha Gupta ma'am.
A very warm good afternoon to one and all. First of all, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to present my views on this very important topic. Being the last speaker, I think there are pros and cons of it. So though there is too much of a pressure of the time, but the good part is that the preceding speakers have already covered most of the topic. So I'll try not to be repetitive, and keeping the paucity of time in mind, I would just try to be very quick and would only add what is not being discussed. So firstly, I would, okay, let me just share my screen. Okay, is it visible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am, we can see. Yes.
Okay, so I just want, I have one disagreement with Monica ma'am, where she has said that the transgenders versus normal human beings. So I think I totally disagree with it. Transgenders are very much normal human beings who have been coexisting with us since the dawn of the humanity. So they are very much normal human beings, and perhaps this confusion or this attitude that they are somewhere abnormal that led the census to enumerate the population of transgenders as late as 2011. So in 2011 only, this third category has come, and also judgment definitely had a major role in it. So I will just focus on all the welfare schemes that have already been discussed. And SMILE has also been discussed. In this SMILE, there is the key components of scholarships for transgender students. I think that has not been covered. So I will quickly highlight it. The transgenders, the students who identify themselves as transgender persons, the government is providing scholarships to them for continuing their studies so this scholarship is provided for class 9th and above. It is available for students in India only. The government or private higher secondary schools, including the residential institutes of the government, and students, the transgender students studying here can avail this scholarship. All the graduate, postgraduate courses, diploma courses that are recognized by UGC or AICTE, they can be pursued with the help of this scholarship For availing this scholarship, the transgender must have the transgender certificate. You should be an Indian citizen. They should not be receiving any other scholarship, whether central or state. You need to be a regular full-time student. If it's a transfer case, they need a migration certificate since it's a scholarship. So it is available for 1 year for a class. So if a student fails and he's repeating the class, the scholarship is not available. The distance and continuing education is also included. The idea is to enable them, to educate them so that they may be able to earn their livelihood. Now, skill development and livelihood empowerment is another welfare scheme which is focusing on skill development and the opportunities of livelihood. So it is done through PM Daksh and the National Skill Development Corporation, sector skill councils. They help in building the curriculum and the Indian Institute of Entrepreneurship and National Institute of Entrepreneurship, Small Business Development. They assist in the training. Again, the criteria has to be the person has to be a transgender, must have a transgender certificate by the government, and you should not be receiving any scholarship from any other central or state schemes. And if approved, the government of India funds 100% of the approved expenditure. So this is done in the form of short-term courses or long-term courses and recognition of prior learning through PM Daksh portal. Composite medical health is given where they can go for 6 reassignment surgeries as well and other medical support. 5 lakh per year insurance, hormone therapy, 100% approved expenditure. That's all is there. And Garima Greh, I think it has already been discussed by many. E-services, there is a national portal, helpline, advertisements, etc. The National Council for Transgender Persons, it advises the central government on formulation of policies and programs, monitors and evaluates the impact of policies and programs as well. So the times have changed. The transgenders are not just restricted to be engaged in sex work or beggary. They have broken the barriers, and there are many notable transgenders that have made a name for themselves, like Nirtaki Natraj has already been discussed, Dr. Aska Sheikh, who is a doctor of community medicine. We have transgender police officer in Tamil Nadu and many such names. So I will conclude here. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. That's all from my side.
Yeah, thank you so much, Neha Gupta ma'am. With our request, actually we were running short of time, so I had requested you to be short. Otherwise, it's a very comprehensive presentation, and I would request you if you could share it with us. We can share it with all the attendees also. So thank you so much, everybody, all the panelists in the 10th webinar series, 10th webinar. So we are now quickly getting into the valedictory session. So everybody, we are very thankful to the National Institute of Social Defense, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, who gave us these webinars to conduct. As we move ahead towards the valedictory session, I would like to make a mention of one very important and pertinent thing, as Giriraj sir, who is the director of National Institute of Social Defense, is also here. There is one online basic course on transgender issues that is conducted through National Institute of Social Defense online education platform, which is called as TAPAS. So this course has been devised to equip the participants with knowledge, skills, and aptitude to effectively implement, enforce the Transgender Persons Protection of Rights 2019. So as we begin the valedictory session, I will quickly request our additional director and joint HOI, Professor Dr. Aditya Tomar sir, to motivate the entire Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee and all the attendees who've joined us. So with your beautiful words of motivation, over to you, sir.
So thank you, Dr. Sumitra. Just invite me again to interact with all the esteemed panelists and the students who joined us on the Zoom platform and through YouTube. So I just show my gratitude to the ministry, especially to Giriraj Sarji, who just shown the faith in the Amity Law School, Legal Aid and Literacy Society. Just because of his faith in us, we started our new cell, which is especially dealing with the disabled rights and the transgender issues. So I commit on behalf of Amity Legal Aid, Legal Literacy Society and Amity Law School that whatever the faith he shown to in us, Amity Legal Aid Society, the student and the faculty members will prove it on. So I would like to extend my thanks to all the members who joined the webinar, and I would like to welcome to all the members of this valedictory ceremony, started with Shri Giriraj Singh ji, Dr. Supana, Dr. Abhilasha, Dr. Neha, Mr. Himanshu Verma, my esteemed colleagues, Dr. Shafali Raizada, Dr. A.P. Bhanu, Ms. Kartika Bakshi, and the esteemed panelists who will join later on, Mr. Joshua Aniston from Edith Cowan University, Western Australia, Mr. Professor Mishra from Agartala. So, and especially Mr. Satvik Sharma, thank you very much to spare your valuable times and attend the valedictory ceremony of this webinar series. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for motivating Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee. Actually, we would like to join hands with the National Institute of Social Defense, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, as now we have a totally dedicated cell for the transgender and disability rights cell. So I was talking about today's topic was about the welfare schemes. And I would also like to say that through NISD, there is a national consultation meeting which is held in coordination with the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment for transgender persons regularly. And they also observe different important days dedicated to the transgender persons. And with that, we are happy to collaborate with the National Institute of Social Defense. Having said so, everybody, I would now request none other than Dr. R. Giriraj sir, Director, National Institute of Social Defense, to present his address. Dr. Giriraj sir. Giriraj sir, can you hear me?
Hello, Dr. Sumitra. Actually, Giriraj sir is a bit busy right now. He just got an urgent call, so he won't be able to attend right now at the moment.
Yeah, okay.
So okay.
Yeah, thank you, Satvik ji. Thank you so much for the information. I can see Shweta ma'am also in the panel. So without any further ado, there is one very important person amongst us today. Deepika ma'am, can you see me? Hello, Deepika ma'am, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure. I can hear you.
Oh, so we have with us Ma'am Deepika, who's the National Capacity Building Trainer at One Stop Center. Deepika ji is a transgender activist, now totally dedicated to solve the problems, challenges of the transgender person. When I met Deepika ji, I was so happy that now I have found somebody with whom I can collaborate and contribute towards the community. So without any further ado, I will request Deepika ji to present your results. Over to you, respected Deepika ji.
Yeah. Actually, so these things, whenever I see these kind of, developments for the community, I get a little bit emotional because when I started this work in 2009, and there was a lot of, issues and challenges which I was facing being a community person. So, and now the time has came when, ministry and all those people are working for the community, and this is really amazing. And Amity University has also taken this initiative through Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee. That's really fantastic in Noida Center of Amity University. And, I met I met you on that day, and I met a lot of people, and those are here in this call, and like Satvik and like Shweta ji from NISD and Dr. R. Giriraj. So they all are very cooperative and very supportive for all of us, and I hope when you said that you have started the transgender cell for the community, and I was so impressed and feeling so proud on you, because I was involved with a similar kind of work with one government agency in Delhi, but that was not implemented in a good way, and that's the reason community is not going and putting their issues in that their cell basically. And right now, I'm looking forward for your support, basically Amity University. And obviously, we are already getting supports from NISD and Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. So this is really, really, really amazing. And I hope to, uh, get a lot of, support from you, especially Sumitra ma'am, and the people, those are here in this call, because I am really looking forward for all the support, because community at grassroots level, community people are, regularly contacting me, and they are facing a lot of, challenges and issues. For example, like recently, AIMS has also joined hand with the transgender community. So this process has been started, I think 4 years before, and right now the time came when transgender community will also going to, have separate clinic and clinical facilities for the transgender community. So this is fantastic and amazing work, and this is happening just because of the people those have worked for the community before me, before Satvik, and they have raised all their voices, and just because of that we have right now Transgender Person Protection and Rights Act 2019, and the act and then rule of 2020, and then Nalsa judgment, and out of all these important policies and guidelines, right now I'm always there for your support whenever you need my support. Anyone who needs my support anytime, please definitely contact me. I'm always there for community and supporting the cause, basically, because which I have gone through, which I have suffered. I don't want my community face the same issue and challenges. Community, those are emerging leader committee, those are recently came out as transgender community member. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Deepika ma'am. It's so wonderful to have you. The other day when we interacted, I got a totally different insight into what has to be done. And I was speaking to our joint HOI, Dr. Aditya Tomar, sir, that things have to be done in practical. You have to do the work at the ground level. And when we had a word with Giriraj sir, and when we opened the cell, that time we understood that things cannot work on paper. You require a team. So, which is why now, with the help of you, YRG Care, One Stop Center, and Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Cell, and NISD, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, we are looking at a greater canvas. Everybody today has talked about Garima Grey. We are seeing whether with public-private partnership, can we provide shelter homes to the community? So, ma'am, wish you good luck too, so that together we can make an inclusive society. Thank you so much, Deepika ji, for being here. Really humbled and honored. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So humbled. So having said so, ladies and gentlemen, moving ahead in the valedictory session, we have with us none other than Dr. Vinay Chauhan ji. Dr. Vinay Chauhan, sir, is the director of the business school and also the dean of the placements at the University of Jammu. Sir has been contributing towards the academic as well as the societal concerns with his academic writings and providing top class placements in the corporates as well as the academia for hundreds and thousands of students. And it is because of his utmost contribution towards education and industry that we feel deeply honored to have invited Dr. Vijay Chauhan, sir. So welcome to Amity. It is said that once an Amitian is always an Amitian. So today Deepika ji has also become an Amitian. And so today you are also becoming an Amitian. Thank you so much for being a part of the Amity family. So over to you, Vinay Johansson, for your address.
Am I audible, ma'am? Hello?
Yes, audible and visible, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much, the host for today's valedictory, Sumitra Singh, and I can see Aditya Tomarji, Bhanuji, Shifali ma'am, Deepika ji, of course, our own alumni, Dr. Kartika, and I think I am also humbled to Dr. Nitin for having me on the board here today. Of course, it's proud to be Amitian, and we know your brand. And we have been oftenly recommending your brand to the institutions because I am from management school, and we know that Amity is good at a lot of educational brands, like law is one, management is the other. So it's proud to be Amitian here, as you said. Coming on to the topic and the issue, which is quite sensitive and quite relevant. So first of all, yes, my compliment to the Amity for picking up such a genuine issue, which is the transgender issues. And as academician, as a dean placement, as also the director of the business school, I feel that it is the societal responsibility to address these issues. No doubt, sometimes we look at the government and we look at the legal perspectives, but there are many more perspectives which are equally important. For example, there are legal issues to look at it. There are societal issues to look at it. And there are also the management perspective and behavioral issues to look at it. When I look at the business organizations, I look at some good practices in America, and we find a lot of acts and laws in place. But in India, I think miles to go. And I'm sure that we are going to take this forward. As an academician, as a head of the institute, as Amity Law is doing, I think we need to sensitize the people. And we need to, am I audible, please? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir. Yes.
So actually, when we are looking at the different people who have done exceptionally well, we were listening to Deepika ji, I think the story must have been very difficult. Those people who did exceptionally well, so each person in itself is a case study. And I wish that each institute identify such cases, give them hand-holding, and provide them a support so that they come out to be success stories. So as a part of CSR, as we normally call it in the business organizations, I am looking after each institution, whether it's a government or private, to own and to support and to handhold such people so that we are able to contribute to the societal development. Because I'm sure that the challenges for these people, as Deepika ji said, that must have been very tough. But at the same time, there are many icons. As my previous presenter was saying, that it is whether it's a police officer or representing some Asia in the UN, or whether it's a mayor, or whether it's a TV anchor, or news anchor, so or maybe a mayor in Chhattisgarh. So the success stories are number of success stories are there. So I feel that you have touched upon a very sensitive issue, and I promise and I assure all my colleagues and panelists that as a person, as a responsible academician, as a responsible citizen, my attitude and my behavior will be friendly. As and when I get an opportunity to provide them support systems through my institution, through my university, through my department, I think we'll be the first to do that. So thank you for sensitizing us, and I'm sure and we take a pledge to contribute toward this direction. Over to you, Sumitra ji.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vinay Johansson. Sir, I have heard about you much earlier, much before meeting Nitin sir. Nitin sir is here since a year, but I have read about you, and it's a pleasure that we are meeting today. Sir, thank you so much for being a part of Amity family. And now that we have met, we are surely going to coordinate with business school and the legal school, law school here, and let us see how best we can help the transgender community. Sir, thank you so much for gracing the occasion.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, ladies and gentlemen, moving further in the session, we have with us none other than Mr. Aman Rajput from Indian Engineering Services, right now designated as Joint Director in the Ministry of Defense, Government of India. I will now request you, Mr. Aman Rajput, to present your address to the audience. Over to you, Mr. Aman.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, yeah.
Yes, a very good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, I'm presently traveling for a meeting at Delhi Sachivalaya. We have certain commitment. So I'm on the way. I hope my signal continues and I am able to talk to you. First of all, I'm extremely thankful to Tomer Saab, with whom I have met and have had a good interaction for the last 7 years. It has been a pleasure to be always part of MIT University and all the initiatives, and especially law school, who have been doing a lot of creative things and a lot of things which are very relevant to the society. I'm extremely thankful to Sumitra madam, who I know from ages, and her commitment, her passion, her vision for the society and for our community, and especially a lot of initiatives are being done by her in the area also, in Mahilwa phase 1 area. She has been a very active social activist and providing a lot of information to everyone. So I'm thankful for that. Again, a very interesting topic by the law school, and I'm here. Now, transgender community has faced a lot of issues since I have worked as Assistant Commissioner for Municipal Corporation of Delhi. We were looking into a lot of aspects and a lot of initiatives which we could do for this community so that we can have an equality in our society. And presently, my portfolio in defense, I'm looking into the HR aspects. So we are also trying to frame certain policies where we can have so that equality coming up. Because I'm looking at the HR policies in the sense all the DPCs and the promotions and the recruitment. So hopefully in future we will maybe having something for the transgender community as well. This is something the ministry is working. This is something the government of India is working, and my fingers are crossed and my full support will be there for such initiatives. Now, from transgender, I want to share, like there are discrimination historically, like exclusion from their families, inadequate access to the health facilities, the shelter, and a lot of initiatives are done by this government, like the Protection Act of 2019, the Protection Act of the year 2020, and the formulation of the National Council for Transgender, which is again a very good initiative by the government. And being a part of government, so I need to laud the same and need to present the same to everyone. I'm also thankful to Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, because I was part of the ministry, and when this project, the umbrella scheme SMILE was launched, we were there and we were discussing. So this SMILE initiative is again meant specifically for this rehabilitation of the transgender community. This is one of the important goals. I think skill development, economic support to these community is something which the government is working, and personally I'm supporting. So on that note, with this I rest my case, and anything from my side, anything from the government side you need, any support, I submit. And if you have something, you can always approach us so that we can help you out. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Aman. You've been a friend of Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee and Amity Law School, and it's a pleasure that you always help us in our endeavors. We seek the support of the government in our initiatives.
Yeah. So, thank you so much. Thank you, Thomas Saab, and all the panelists and guests who are there, and full support to me from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amanji. We wish you so much success in life. Thank you so much for being here. Shortly, everybody, we will be unraveling a book and a souvenir on the Transgender Persons Act 2019, which will be unraveled within a short while. But before that, we have an address by our dear friend, and who's also been conferred upon the Honorary Associate Professorship from Amity Law School, Noida, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, none other than Dr. Joshua Aston, who is Associate Dean of Law and Associate Dean of Law, School of Business and Law at Edith Cowan University, Australia. So welcome, Dr. Joshua Aston. It's a pleasure to have you with us here. You are a very own member of Amity Law School family. Over to you, Dr. Joshua, for your address. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can see you and I can hear you.
Okay, fantastic. So just like Aman, I also hope my technology doesn't fail me. Thank you very much, Dr. Sumitra, for the opportunity you have bestowed upon me to speak at this valedictory ceremony. esteemed guests, students, and friends. And I have particularly used the word friends, and I have not said ladies and gentlemen, because particularly in Australia, we refrain from using the word ladies and gentlemen at occasions, because if we do so, we will no longer be inclusive with all the genders. Now, at the outset, I would like to congratulate Amity Law School, Noida, for receiving this grant from the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment and the National Institute of Social Defense, Government of India. Now, it is certainly a distinction, a feather, I would say, among number of feathers in the cap of Amity Law School. And I congratulate Professor Aditya Tomar, Additional Director and Joint Head of the Law School, and his team, or should I say his army, for all the work that they have done, and they continue to do so. Now, this is really fantastic achievement and demonstrate that Amity Law School's commitment to advancing social justice and equality for all members of the society. I think by providing this kind of education and resources on transgender rights, you are actually helping to raise awareness and promoting acceptance of this marginalized community. And your efforts will undoubtedly make a positive impact and inspire other people to join this to fight against the transgender equality issue. Now, friends, this is such an important issue, and I can confidently say that the concepts like access to justice, practical experience, community outreach, and even social responsibility have become so synonymous with Amity Law School. Friends, as we speak here today, there are 67 countries in the world which criminalizes same-sex relations with consenting adults. So what does this tell us? It tells us that there's more that needs to be done, but the world doesn't have all the time. And as Martin Luther King has said, injustice anywhere is threat to justice everywhere. Now, I have heard about the success of these webinars in social media, and I'm also very proud to be associated with this great institution. In fact, I was able to join one of the sessions earlier this afternoon for a short while. Now, I'm given to understand that Amity Law School has established a transgender and disability rights cell and also a designated satellite office on its campus. I only have to say this, that Amity Law School is leading from the front. So well done. You are a pioneer. Now, well done, Professor Aditya Tomar, Dr. D.K. Bandopadhyay, Dr. Sumitra Singh, Dr. Nathan Sharma, and Shweta Sehgal, and also the entire student and faculty members of Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee of Amity Law School, Noida, for this amazing work that you all have been doing. A huge thanks to Dr. Giriraj for his unstinted and indomitable support throughout this journey. 10 robust, successful webinars on Transgender Persons Act 2019. This is what I call real contribution, and its impact is going to be seen for times to come. Well done, Professor Bandopadhyay, Professor Tomar, and your team for your leadership and for your vision in this important area. And I really look forward to seeing the impact of these workshops on the community and beyond. And from Edith Cowan University, you have our fullest support in all your endeavors, because your endeavors and our endeavors are not different. They are one and the same. Thank you very much, and have a lovely evening, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Joshua. Thank you.
Have a lovely evening, Dr. Joshua. Thank you so much for being here. And today I feel so great and delighted. Once I was speaking to an eminent person here, so I said I want to do this, I want to do that. He just told me one word, that कोई भी अच्छा काम करोगी तो बहुत सारे लोग जुड़ते चले जाएंगे. So I can see that we are getting support from the government, we are getting support from the corporate, from the academics, and that too from abroad in Australia. So what else do we desire now? Let's together make an inclusive society. Thank you so much, Dr. Joshua, for being there with us every time. So having said so, ladies and gentlemen and lovely friends, I got a new word now to address. And boys and girls, dear students, we have with us Mr. Satvik. Satvik is the technical coordinator in National Institute of Social Defense, a wonderful orator and a transgender activist. So I'll now request you, Satvik ji, to present your address.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sumitra. Like, first, I would like to congratulate you all. Like, मेरा first meeting Nitin के साथ और सुमित्रा जी के साथ in Amity Law School ही हुआ था, and then after that we are having this robust webinar series of 10 episodes about the rights and issues of the transgender people. Like, coming from the community, this is really important for me कि up students, lawyers, legal support providers, everyone is coming towards rights of the transgender people. Then, like coming from NISD, I'm working as consultant in transgender division, and I would like to say a few words about NISD. The National Institute of Social Defense is an apex advisory body to the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, which is engaged in the training and sensitization programs in the field of social defense, like welfare of transgender persons, vagary prevention, old age care, drug abuse prevention, etc. And also it is engaged in the research and documentation activities in the field of social defense only. Besides, NISD is also involved in the formulation, evaluation, and restructuring of the policies, programs, and schemes of the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. And in transgender division, we are working on so many fronts, sensitization and awareness program of the community, of the various stakeholders, which can be police functionaries, social work educators, health professionals, educators in all fields. So like that. Also, we are also doing capacity building programs of all the stakeholders I was talking about, and training of the trainers, so that these people can go and talk about what are the rights and issues of the transgender people. Similar manner like MIT University is doing it right now. So this is all from my side, and I would like to compliment you all. This is lovely session I have been through, and please go ahead. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Satvik ji, for motivating us and telling the audience about NISD. I feel so proud that we've come this far in our journey and collaboration, right from the first engagement to the second one, and looking forward for more. And also, one thing to tell everybody that you also have to look at the rules and the act. You please log on to transgender.dosgeje.gov.in. And also for various awareness camps regarding the transgender community, which is conducted by National Institute of Social Defense and the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Please log on to socialjustice.nic.in and transgender.dosge.gov.in, and also at nisd.gov.in, and also at www.amity.edu/ALSN. So we are shortly coming up with our robust website on Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee. You will get all the updates there. Thank you so much, Satviji, for joining us. So, well, everybody, up in the panel, we have with us a very young, dynamic judicial officer, Shri Aditya Prakash ji, who is Judicial Magistrate in the Bihar Judicial Services. Sir has been dispensing justice to everyone, because the arc of justice is very, very, very long, but it always bends towards justice as the universe talks about justice. So without any further ado, I'll request learned judge Shri Aditya Prakash ji to present his address. Over to you, sir. Sir, you're on mute. Aditya, sir, yeah. Also, as sir is joining us, till then I can just tell you that NISD is also, and also Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee is very active on social media. Please log on to our social media handles on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and looking for NISD or MSJEGOI, and also for ALALC, Amity Law School, Noida. So after the 10 webinars on transgender rights 2019 and the rules 2020, we have now started with the valedictory session. An elite panel, we have eminent persons from all the walks of the society, be it the national institution itself, which is promoting the cause of transgenders, be it the judiciary, be it the government. Yes.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir, but I cannot see.
Okay. Hello. Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you everyone for inviting me in this webinar. This issue taken up in the webinar is a critical social issue that we all see commonly preaching in our society. Having heard all the learned speakers, they have explained the topic very beautifully. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello.
Yes, sir, we can hear you. We can see you.
Okay, okay. Hmm. They have explained the topic very beautifully and in detail. So I'm going to talk about the practical scenario which is happening in our society and how we are dealing with it. Okay, so in our daily life, we have already been a little scared and uncomfortable with this social group. But the real reason that they are more scared of us. So that is why the government, even after implementing the bill, they have to implement the so many welfare schemes so that the government will fill the gap. One of the scheme was Smile that I have heard of, which is support for marginalized individual, which is very important scheme. But all these changes are doing by government. But what is our role? We have to understand our role. Only then we will help the government. For example, the another change done by the government that the government has. Hello. Yes, that the government has started recruiting people irrespective of their gender, which is a very nice step. And recently, a Padma Lakshmi became the first trans. Excuse me.
So you are on mute again.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Recently, I've heard that Padma Lakshmi became the first transgender lawyer in Kerala. This is a great effort done by our government. All these efforts are initiated by government, but it is our responsibility to help them implementing these welfare schemes. Concluding, I must say, you and me, we all have a potential to create an impact about this. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Sumitra, you are on mute.
Can you hear me
Yes,
now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Am I audible? Yeah, I think.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, fine. Maybe learned Judge Aditya Prakash ji comes back, but without any further ado, we will move again in the session, and without any further ado, I'll be inviting the next panelist. So we have with us a very young and dynamic person here amongst us today, Shri Himanshu Verma ji, who's the National Employment and Social Media Expert. He has been contributing towards the nation building and the society through his journalistic writings and his great acumen of drafting and speaking. Over to you, Shri Himanshu Verma ji.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, Amity Group, for giving me that opportunity. Of course, a very wonderful session. I hope I'm audible, right? I hope I'm audible well to you, all
Yes,
of you.
sir. Yes,
Right.
audible.
So, of course, I would want to thank more than 700 TV discussions which I've attended on all the national channels, ABP, NDTV, almost all that you see, debates with the best of the journalists in the country. I've spoken about the national issues of employment and the social media, which is again related to the primarily towards the youth affairs, on the social side of it. However, I've never got an opportunity to attend a session wherein the rights of this community would have been so well organized and so well have been spoken about. So firstly, I mean, really from my core of my heart, I would like to thank you all, because this is something that we generally don't talk about, right? And when we talk about, also it's also in silos, right? uh, uh, you know uh, I know, you've been talking about the schemes that government is running, Smile scheme for scholarships from 9 to PG. We're talking about the PM Duck scheme. We have certain aspects that we covered, and I would not want to maybe just pull in myself and maybe talk about those points. However, I'll only want to highlight at this platform the very one point of one step. I just heard, I mean, the last panelist also, he spoke about what exactly we have to do. I mean, what is our responsibility towards this? So, when we talk about community outreach, access to law, and the welfare for the community, to bring them in inclusion, we have to see what is that one single step that we at our individual level are taking. Of course, as an institution, as Amity is doing, I'm sure there are multiple institutions and the government, doing their bit of it. However, I mean, I think this is the right time and this is the right arena to ask, question to our own self, that what is that one step that we've taken? I know, we all being panelists, investing our time, talking and brainstorming to get something as an outcome out here on this platform. However, individually also, if we talk about an issue, there's something that, our responsibility towards the community, towards the nation, and towards the entire society, that has to be taken. So just the food for thought, and I would not, in the interest of time, maybe, talk more on it, or maybe any data points on it. I would just, want to add like a cherry on the cake, or maybe just a feather in this entire, discussion that we've had, that we all should, realize and understand our one responsibility, or that one step that we would want to take for the inclusion of the community. And if we start thinking about it, and we, ponder our thoughts about it, I think we will move forward together, taking multiple steps. So, if you ask me, possibly thinking and, listening to all you speakers on this wonderful session wherein we started, I happen to, gather my thoughts, and I'm certainly going to speak on all the platforms that I speak. As I said, 700 TV discussions I've already had, and I also, represent some corporate, being part of the Big Fours. So I would definitely, ensure that whenever I'm speaking on any of the platforms, that one step would be that I would certainly ensure that, be it social media, be it employment, I would ascertain that I'm taking that, I'm trying to include the community together, and I talk about them as a data point too. So that's my first step, and that's my one step that I'm taking as a pledge on, onto this, voluntary session of, this wonderful evening. Thank you so very much, and all the very best. And whatever it takes me, I will certainly, put this across to all the, channels and all the TV channels that I speak on. I would certainly, uprise my voice there with them. That's the one step I'm taking. Thank you.
That's indeed a great step, Himanshuji. And we are with you in the cause of nation building and creating a better and inclusive society. Our founder president, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan sir, has spent his entire life in creating brick by brick activities to build the nation. So with his blessings, we now move forward in the session. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, students and dear friends, now we are going to unveil and unravel certain publications. That is because we could conduct all these 10 webinars on transgender rights 2019, and also with the great work that we've been doing in the area of transgenders to make this society an inclusive society. As Amanji said, we are contributing towards the society, and as also Deepika ma'am, Ms. Deepika also said that she also would like to be a part of the Legal Aid and Literacy Committee in our transgender and disability rights cell. So to totally create an inclusive society, we have come up with some write-ups in the form of a souvenir and in the form of an authored book. So I will now request all the panelists for today, our joint HOIs and additional directors, Professor Dr. Aditya Tomar sir, Professor Dr. Arvind Bhanu sir, Professor Dr. Shefali Raizada ma'am, learned judge Shri Aditya Prakash ji, Monica Bharadwaj ma'am, Giriraj sir, Shweta Sehgal ma'am, Vinay Chauhan sir, all the speakers for today, Satvik ji, to please open up your cameras as we will now unveil these two publications, and there has been a lot of hard work involved in it. So presenting to you two publications, and now over to dear friend and colleague, Mr. Rupendra Singh sir, to present the unraveling of the publications.
Thank you, Smitra ma'am, who engaged me in this revealing of the publications of the university. So in this direction, we are going to reveal the two books and one souvenir. And I believe that book is perhaps the greatest human invention, binding together the people of distant who never knew one another. A book which is made from a tree is assemblage of a flat and the flexible parts called leaves, imprinted with dark pigmented words. Once glance at it and you hear the voice of the another. we read the book and we able to link with the author. With this backdrop, I would like to announce the first book, which has been written by Dr. Monica Narang. Let me also share my screen. I'm sharing the cover page of the book titled Woman, Law and New Challenges. The book has been written as an editor by Dr. Monica Narang. She is the associate professor and the coordinator of PG Diploma in Human Rights, Duties Education, the Law School, University of Jammu. The book is further co-edited by Dr. Amit Dhal, assistant professor, Amity Law School, Noida. The book has been further edited by Ms. Sonam Parashar and Dr. Nitin Sharma, Amity Law School, Noida. This book broadly covers the issues pertaining to the woman empowerment, COVID-19, domestic violence issues, and the position of the woman, the water crisis and its interlinkages with the gender justice. The book has also covered the new dimensions, that is of revenge pornography and the rights and the liabilities of the woman in those cases, the triple talaq and its impact on the woman at large. The book also covers the live-in relationship, the maintenance issues, the marriage, and the other issues which are surrounded to it. The book has been published by the Red Strand publication, United Kingdom. In the series, I'm also like to join all of you to reveal our second book. As they say, there is only one thing that could replace a book, that is another book. So in this direction, the another publication, which is based on this transgender and their legal rights, the another book which is being published by Bharati Publication is The Realization of Transgender Persons' Rights in India, a Socio-Legal Perspective. This is an authored book. The author is Dr. Aditya Tomar, Dr. Karthika Bakshi, Dr. Nitin Sharma, Dr. Sumitra Singh, faculties of Amity Law School, Noida. This book, in its wide coverage, covers the areas of historical evolution of transgender, the social and the legal challenges which they have faced. The book has also looked into and explored the provisions with reference to the transgender bill, the suggestions of the different stakeholders, and the transformation of the bill in the form of an Act of 2019. The book also covers the judicial pronouncements of the Supreme Court and the various high courts recognizing the transgender and the associated communities. The book also explores the key provisions of the Transgenders Protection Act of 2019. They talks about the role and responsibilities of the council. The book also covers and explore the new problems and the new issues which the transgender community may face in the future to come. Moving ahead, I'll also like to join all of you in the releasing of a souvenir, which is basically covers the summary of the 10 different webinars which we have conducted that has been conducted by the Transgender and Disability Rights Cell, Amity Legal Aid, and the Literacy Committee, Amity Law School, Uttar Pradesh. There we have covered summaries of our webinars, the messages, the compilation of the short summaries of the presentations, which has been made by more than 50 speakers on the different themes of the transgender, with an whole and sole objective to sensitize the people about the transgender. Thank you, ma'am. Sumitra, over to you.
Thank you, Rupendra sir, for unraveling the publications. Let's all have a huge round of applause. Congratulations, Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee. Congratulations, authors and the editors. Congratulations, the entire committee, especially the Transgender and the Disability Rights Cell. With this publication now on record, we are doing grounded work in the field, and we hope for more publications. And I'm inviting everybody who is attending this webinar that we are coming up with a book on child rights. So if you have your articles or research papers written on child rights, you can email it to me, or you can email it to your friends in the Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee. Shortly, the book will be published. Well, everybody, coming up next in the session is a very important person, the convener of this webinar series, dear friend and colleague, Dr. Nitin Sharma sir, a very dynamic academician who believes that there is no legal outreach work if there is no social outreach work. So over to Dr. Nitin Sharma sir to present some deliberations and a kind of a short report on the 10 webinars and also the entire journey of this webinar series. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such wonderful description. And first of all, we're grateful to all the panelists and our respected HOIs on the dais. So to begin with, I must say the webinar series, starting with the webinar series was not at all a very easy task. So we need to we can invite the people and we need to make them understand what this particular issue is all about. And most of the people in the beginning, they do have some sort of reservations on the topic, and most of them are not at all well updated about the current scenario of this particular issue. But slowly and steadily, what we have seen, what we have learned, that most of the people are approaching to our committee, and most of the people have even mailed to Aditya Tomar sir that they want to speak in this webinar series. And most of the times, this is a personal experience, that most of the times we used to send different we used to adjust people depending upon the suitability of the topic and as far as their expertise is concerned. So in total we have done 10 webinars, and as per the mandate of the NISD, National Institute of the Social Defense, and as per the suitability of the topic and its socio-legal outreach and socio-legal dimension, so we have divided it in between 10 sub-themes, exclusively targeting the main thrust areas like inclusive education, then health rights of the transgender people, non-discrimination provisions, as well as the grievance redressal mechanism, and as well as to how this particular issue has been seen from the perspective of the people belonging to this particular community. So in all, we have done 10 webinars. Today is the last webinar. And after that, as we all know, we have also come up with some publications with the support of all our faculty members rather. So what we have authored, what we have put together in the form of a book, it is not a venture, or it is not a total, we can say, the work of only 4 or 5 people. It is a collaborative event, and we have taken inputs, we have taken suggestions, we have been enlightened by the what the eminent speakers have spoken during the webinar. And in this particular webinar, I must tell the audience and the esteemed panelists that this webinar series have been joined by 50 eminent speakers from across across the country. And even though this valedictory section, this event has been also attended by Joshua Austin sir, is from Australia. So both people from within the jurisdiction as well as outside the jurisdiction, they have joined the webinar, they have attended different sessions, and they have updated our knowledge. And most importantly, most of the students, I think we are mostly, this is my personal opinion, and this is what through the different question answer session, the way the students are asking questions, we are feeling this fact that students are truly benefited by the sensitization program. And near about, I think we have sensitized more than 1,000 students as per the figures we have with us, depending on the basis of the registration during the webinars, on the basis of the persons who are joining for 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour. So I think we are extremely thankful to the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, and especially the National Institute of Social Defense. And most importantly, we are extremely thankful to our joint HOIs and our chairman, sir, and to all the support which have been given by our respected head of the committee, Professor Dr. Aditya Tomar sir, and our esteemed colleagues like Rupinder sir, Rizd Banerjee sir, and all the previous speakers, both in-house and from outside the university. So thank you so much. So for the full report and the detailed report regarding the webinar, within the coming days, within a week or more, we'll be able to send copies of the souvenir to all the esteemed panelists and as well as the esteemed speakers during all the 10 webinars. Thank you, Rupinder sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Nitin Sharma sir. The journey of organizing 10 webinars, the inaugural and the valedictory, is really unforgettable because we came across so many things. And in this journey of organizing 10 webinars, setting up the transgender and the disability rights cell, our students of the committee have been very, very active. And today we have with us a student representation from the transgender and the disability rights cell, a very dear student of fourth year BBA LLB program, Ms. Vaishnavi Mathur, who will be presenting a very short report to you. It's her observation, experience, and a short summarized report. Over to Vaishnavi.
Good afternoon, honorable speakers and respected faculties and all my friends present here. I'm Vaishnavi Mathur, and I would like to present a student's view on our journey of the series of webinars on Transgender Persons Act 2019. Before starting, I would just like to put forward an observation, and I would like to ask everyone present here a few questions. I believe that our generation is all about change. I think we can all agree to it. And in fact, people in our generation change a lot of personal things, like we dye our hair to make it look brighter. We go to the gym. A lot of people get facial surgeries to maybe just look like their favorite movie stars. And we change our names, majors, jobs, and life partners. People change their religions, nationalities. So one question that arises in my mind is, why is gender the only one thing that we are scared to accept the change in? We change a lot of personal things all the time just because we think it suits us. So why do we not accept the people, the transgender individuals, when all they're doing is just trying to live the gender that they are comfortable in? In the previous sessions, our esteemed dignitaries have mentioned that transgender individuals are people who identify as genders different from the one assigned at birth. Just because of this, they face a lot of discrimination and stigma in our society, which is why it is very crucial for us to advocate for their rights. It was really heartbreaking for me to know today, and even in the previous sessions, that the exposure to health education is very less for them. And due to this, there is a high chance for them to have sexual transmitted diseases and mental health problems. In fact, it is really sad to know that they do still till date face violence in a lot of places that they go, which is actually just violation of their rights. And I believe that transgender individuals have the right to legal recognition of their identity. They should be able to change their name, their gender marker on legal documents such as their driving license or maybe the passport, without being subjected to unnecessary barriers of discrimination. The team of Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee will definitely work towards this with the help of Ministry of Social Justice and the NISD through our totally dedicated Transgenders and Disability Rights Cell and our satellite office, which is placed at Gate 2A of the Amity University, Noida, Uttar Pradesh. Through these webinars, we have understood how important it is to listen to different perspectives and kind of analyze schemes and maybe possible solutions so that we can make these amendments possible in the favor of transgender persons. It is the duty of us, the citizens, to guard their dignity and promote the values of peace. And we can only provide equal justice to them if we come together as a team, which we now have, I think, by conducting 10 webinar sessions successfully. We need to support and advocate for their rights like this, and so that they can live with peace and dignity. The entire team, I would like to say on the behalf of the entire team, that we will make sure to connect and converse with as many shelters as possible, and will conduct more and more legal awareness programs related to the transgender issues and provide legal help to anyone in need. So let's just all work together to create a society that is inclusive and accepting of all the people, regardless of their gender identity, and making it even a better place to live in. Thank you, ma'am.
Very well presented, Vaishnavi. And if we can't impact young and dynamic individuals like you, I think we can see the change that we really wanted to bring in the society to create a totally inclusive society. Having said so, everybody, I will now request our Additional Director and Joint HOI, Professor Dr. Shefali Raizada ma'am, to present her address. Over to you, respected Shefali Raizada ma'am.
Okay, very good evening to all the distinguished guest speakers.
I believe that after more than 50, and dear colleagues and the students as well, after more than 50 lectures in this webinar, there is no issues, I think, left. And majorly the issues were raised, solutions and recommendations have been given. I couldn't be the part of all the lectures, but some of the lectures I have gone through. So certainly it is, some of them, they were the eye openers. We talk about the freedom word, and we are celebrating the 75th year of our freedom. But always we look at the freedom of 1947 from the foreign rule. Now the time has come, I believe, after so many things which are going on, we have to translate the meaning of freedom and at our own, with the change of time and age. Because we have to look at this word or the meaning and the version of the freedom, not in a confined manner. Freedom must be from injustice, freedom from the clutches and conflicts, freedom from closed mindset, freedom from confined culture, and freedom from social taboos, discrimination. So we have to move from the shrinked mindset to the open and the collective kind of the mindset, where we have to not lead the role in our individual freedom, but freedom for everyone, considering the freedom for everyone and considering the freedom with everyone. So that is the version needs to bring out, to bring that transformation. I'm very, very amazed to see the topics of various series of these lectures, and so many inputs have been we have been coming across various inputs, various aspects, various solutions, various newness also of the sometimes many of the sites are hidden. We are not able to track on those issues, but this webinar, as I use the word, they were the eye openers, which can change our mindset and culture, and something there's no harm of changing the versions in a broad social justice manner and the broad spectrum. So I'm very, very thankful for so many speakers throughout the series, and especially for the National Institute of Social Defense, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, Government of India, and also all the speakers related and dignitaries who were present in the valedictory or in the opening or inaugural and throughout the time. I believe कि Amity Law School, I'm very, very happy to see the this souvenir and the books which have been revealed and released today. So I believe कि Amity Law School is known for taking all initiatives, as many of the dignitaries they have mentioned कि Amity Law School has taken this initiative. It's really rare, because always we take the societal issues as a troubleshooters, and this is a platform for that. I would be thankful for all the authorities, right from our founder, Sir Dr. Ashok Chauhan, to our Chancellor, Sir Dr. Atul Chauhan, to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Balvinder Shukla, and certainly the Chairman, Amity Law School, Professor Bandyopadhyay, for giving the guidance and support and motivation for taking these lead roles. And thank you, the convener, Nitan Sharma, for taking this initiative to attach and associate the ministerial initiative with our Amity Law School, and other entire team. Dr. Tomar also giving the guidance for taking this initiative. So thank you everyone, and I congratulate, and there is no point to say because it was written, Sumitra, few words, so I think it's sufficient for the time. So thank you so very much for this wonderful event. Thank you.
Thank you so much, respected ma'am. In few words, you won our hearts. The particular word freedom, of course, ma'am, it's very imperative for all of us. We certainly are not free. As I said, Karl Marx once said, no, man is born free, but he is found everywhere in chains. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your address. And we look forward for your motivation every time in all the initiatives of Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee. Thank you so much, ma'am. Well, everybody, it's time to depart from this portal, and I'm getting very, very nostalgic, as my colleague, Dr. Nitin Sharma sir, had also shared the journey. So Of course, getting nostalgic is very, very personal, but yes, it's very natural. However, to finally conclude the 10 days, 10 webinar series, 10 webinars in the series of webinars, and also this valedictory session, we have with us our source of inspiration, Dr. A.P. Bhanu sir, who is Additional Director and Joint HUI of Amity Law School, Noida. And also he is heading all the research activities at Amity Law School, Noida. I'll request you, respected sir, to present the vote of thanks. Sir, you're on mute, sir.
Thank you, Sumitra ji. We are concluding after a long journey, as Nitin and others have already said. And as per my understanding, this concluding session is an expression of the satisfaction with happiness input. And everyone is saying so. Dr. Rajada also has referred these points with reference to the freedom. This 10 webinar series has successfully concluded by all the speakers during this almost 1 month. And I have seen and I have also joined during this webinars and found that the issue of transgender, which is the very vital issue. And right now I am looking at that every newspaper is concentrating on discussing of the same-sex marriage. Even our Honorable Tahir Saab has just pointed out in his article on same-sex marriage. So what I want to express from my side is that during this long journey of webinars during this month, the discriminatory aspect towards the transgender people has also been discussed, debated. Not only that, the grievance redressal has also been discussed, the health issue also been discussed, even the education, because education is a part of the dignity. Under Article 21 of Indian Constitution, Justice Bhagwati had already emphasized upon this point and said that the education is a component of human dignity. So this has also been discussed in this. The NALSA judgment has also been discussed, because NALSA judgment is a judgment which has come with, the declaration of rights through the judicial mechanism. Though these rights, the human rights of the transgender people, are already enshrined in our constitution. No one can deny that, because if you can deny on the ground that they are not people, they are not human beings. If you recognize that they are human beings, then you cannot deny their rights. So NALSA judgment in 2014 is only the declaration through the judicial mechanism about their human rights. Whereas, as per my understanding, that they were available on the very day of 26 January 1950 in the Constitution. As far as the human rights concept are concerned, because the other aspect which has already been discussed in this, that the international human rights and the national human rights, these are the aspects which have already been discussed. As per my understanding, human right is human right. You cannot make any distinction on the basis of the international human right and national human rights. Because try to understand, please, the part 3rd of Indian Constitution consists the human rights. But it is named and nomenclatured as a fundamental right. Let me draw your attention, the speakers who are sitting here, very eminent speakers and other persons are there on this platform. I can draw your attention to the Golaknath case, where the Supreme Court had precisely said, because there is a controversy and we used to ask the questions and suddenly counter to the questions that fundamental rights are not human rights, or are they Indian human rights, or something like this. So on this very point, I refer to Golaknath case, wherein wherein the Supreme Court had made it clear that fundamental rights are the modern name for what have been traditionally known as natural rights. And natural rights are human rights. And one remarkable point is that also here, that the human rights cannot be gifted by any person, by Constituent Assembly, by state, by the government. And human rights are the fundamental rights. So part third, consisting the fundamental right cannot be gifted by the state. If you think so, you are wrong. Because this is also the thing in the context of discussion of the transgender rights. The individual possesses basic human rights independently of any constitution by reason of basic fact that they are members of the human race. Are transgenders not the member of human race? If you say yes, then the valid without assessment answer is that they are human and they do have the human rights. So in 2014, the judicial declaration about their human rights is a mere declaration by a certain mechanism of the state. They were having the human rights since the Constitution came into existence. Further, I would like to draw your attention on the point also, though I am assigned the task to deliver the vote of thanks, but this is the point and the platform where I'm looking at that this has been in existence since last 1 month. Therefore, my consciousness is saying that I must speak upon this point precisely. I would like to draw your attention, the shorter constitution written by the D.D. Basu, who says that part third does not confer fundamental right. We are talking of the fundamental right and human rights. And in NALSA judgment, on the basis of the fundamental rights, the judicial assessment has been done. D.D. Basu says that part third does not confer fundamental right, but confirms, does not confer, but confirms their existence and gives them protection. So please try to understand the human rights given under part third of Indian Constitution. They have been mentioned only for the purpose of the protection, nothing more than that. So on this very basic of the analysis of mine regarding the human rights of the transgender, I can say that they were having the human rights. They are having the human rights in Indian territory. They will be having the human rights, but it is the social discardness which dispelling them from enjoyment of their human rights. That's why this seminar-like situation, the conference, webinar-like situations have been organized India-wide so that this fact could be put into or injected into the social consciousness, because real culprit is the society. In the context, I can recall the inaugural session of this seminar, wherein Dr. R. Girirajji, Director of National Institute of Social Science, spoke his own mind. And precisely he expressed his support towards the resolvement of the challenges and issues of the transgender. But I am happy to see the deliberation in this concluding session that everyone who has spoken in this on this platform has committed. Rather, I should say, all the speakers have spoken with a commitment that we are with the transgender to resolve their situation. But this situation has come out after the NALSA judgment and 2019 Act and 2020 rule of the transgender. Means the state is coming forward, the judiciary is coming forward to stop the society, because real culprit is the society. We are the real culprit. We are not allowing the other human being to enjoy their fundamental right. Whereas they are the human being as we are. So my thanks, though he could not appear in this, this concluding ceremony, Dr. R. Girirajji, but I would like to thanks and gratefulness express my gratefulness to R. Girirajji. I can understand that who has supported very much to this webinars for the purpose of just making awareness in the social consciousness. So we are concentrating to bring this fact to in social consciousness. Now I'm coming to Professor Dr. Binay Chauhanji, who had emphasized on the sensitization of the pupil. Again, the point comes that the fact that the transgenders are also human beings. This has to be injected in the consciousness of the society. Society must be knowing that, भाई तुम ही human being नहीं हो, transgender भी human being है. ये अलग बात है कि due to nature their biological construction is different. And also he had pointed out towards, the success story, various success stories he told. Professor Binay Chauhanji is a director of business school, Dean Students Placement, University of Jammu. Certainly he has expressed his mind from his own perception. He has given a wonderful, understanding regarding the treatment towards transgender. For that, I would like to express my thanks to Professor Sahab. Now I'm coming to our dear, the webinar friends, rather conference friends, international conference friend, Dr. Joshua Ostanji, who has spoken also very, vividly on the point by stating that I am not, going to use the expression ladies and gentlemen. Also, he has expressed the point that ladies and gentlemen expression is the subject matter of Indians, not Australians. Australians believe in friends. I appreciate your point, sir. But I would point out here on this very point that Indian Constitution in its preamble, the word fraternity consists. Fraternity certainly is an inclusive word, which is certainly exclude all the words which are certain kind of the goes to non-inclusiveness pattern. So fraternity, we are diversified countries. Our constitution respects the diversifications. We believe in fraternity. This is our constitutional aim. So when we are calling ladies and ladies and gentlemen, certainly we are expressing by heart that all are our friend, and we believe in fraternity. So for these words, I express my thanks through my heart to Dr. Joshua Ostanji. Now I'm coming to Mr. Adit Prakashji, Judicial Magistrate in Bihar Judicial Services. I am happy that he expressed in his words some practical aspect relating to transgender challenges and issues, because he always sit in laboratory, where judiciary is a place where the live example come. So his expression of the interaction and expression and experience with practical aspects, and he had made his awards for those awards and those the commitments toward the challenges of the transgenders. I am, along with all my colleagues, express my gratefulness to him. Now I am coming down to very quickly Mr. Aman Rajput ji, though he was traveling, and during his travel from his car, he spoke well. He also highlighted, emphasized his support. The big thing which I have just is observed in his expression is that he has committed that I'm here whenever you call my support. I'm here to support, to make awareness and to erase the ill mindset on the part of the society. On the other side, Mr. Aman Rajput ji also has acknowledged the challenges and issues. The important point which I have observed in this discussion is that all speakers, including Aman Rajput ji, are acknowledging that there is an issue. And there is a social issue to discarding the transgenders. Now the big problem on the part of the transgenders after getting full-fledged human or Indianhood, rather I should say, to assimilate in the society. Because we, the pupil and the member of the society, we are again and again discarding them. At the same time, we have the constitutional duty to adopt them. Because on the ground of the fraternity, we cannot say that they are not our brothers and sisters. They are well within the expression fraternity. And this is be the pupils' commitment in the preamble. You can see that we are committed to promote the fraternity. Now I'm coming down very quickly to Himanshu Verma ji, who has also emphasized on social aspect. And he has also emphasized very wonderful and emphatic, the actionable sentence that now after NALSA judgment 2019 legislation 2020 rules, that everyone is looking at the face of the society in a appealing mode. Please, society, let the transgender come to the same boat. Allow them to come in the same boat. Why they are being discarded from where they do have all the human right structures, features, values, everything. So Himanshu ji, thank you very much for your words. Now I'm coming to Deepika ji. Very consciously, very carefully, I have heard Deepika ji, who is a National Capacity Building Officer, One Step Center, GFATM Project Office, Delhi. And certainly, I would like to appreciate her each sentence, each words, because really, her expression was very appreciable, very appealable, and very lightening towards the challenges of the transgenders in a social context. So thank you very much, Deepika ji. Thank you so much. Now, Satvik ji also spoke well on the issue. सात्विक जी का भी धन्यवाद देना चाहूंगा. Now coming to the next point, because this seminar was not a seminar of one day, it was almost 1 month. Therefore, vote of thanks is also taking a time. Dr. Sumitra ji would like to permit me. Okay. Now I would like to thanks those who spared their time during this 10 webinars. More than 50 speakers came and expressed their words of wisdoms. So I am thankful for them for sparing time and expressing their own mind towards the respect of the human rights in resolving the challenges and issues of the transgender people. Now, we can see that due to some engagement, our chairman, sir, could not come. Otherwise, I'm sure chairman, sir, is such type of the academician and administrator who speak, the well on any type of the topics. Certainly, if you would have come here, certainly he would have spoken on the issues, but he could not come. But he deserves for our gratitude, because due to his approvals and permissions and encouragement, this seminar happened to be organized. Now, we cannot also spare our Honorable Vice Chancellor, ma'am, because every approval we get from Honorable Vice Chancellor, ma'am. In absentia, we are thankful to her also. And my warm gratitude is due towards our Honorable Founder President, Honorable Chancellor, sir, who always wish to see us growing. In fact, because of their philanthropic vision and their best wishes, we are here. Now, our students who have participated, my colleagues who have, spoken also, as I have seen, they have given their wonderful presentations on the issues of the transgender. I would like to express my thanks to them also. The organizing team of this seminar, I would like to express my thanks to them. Dr. Sumitra is also there. She deserves for a big thanks. And my colleagues, Dr. Sefali ji, Dr. Aditya ji, who has been an instrumentality in this webinar, series of webinar and organizing it. So we are thankful, and thanks goes to them for organizing this, the very important seminar. Now we cannot forget National Institute of Social Defense, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, Government of India, to extend our warm thanks, because certainly they have given their assistance, their support. Due to that, we could be able to organize this seminar. Satwik ji ko hamara bar dhanyawad hai, kyunki earlier when this webinar was being organized, I met with him. वहां भी बोले थे, तो आपके लिए सात्विक जी बहुत बड़ा धन्यवाद हमारी तरफ से, और इस आशा के साथ कि हम लोग इसी तरह आगे चलते रहेंगे, और जो ट्रांसजेंडर के इश्यूज हैं उनमें certainly we will be able to contribute. And as far as my understanding regarding the human rights and the challenges in the issue of transgenders is concerned, is that if can win to to get the success to bring the facts of the humanity or the human value in relation to the transgender in the consciousness of the society, certainly the transgender will come at par with us. But I'm looking at, since Nalsar's judgment, there is a change. Prior to Nalsar judgment, there was a movement, I can say. The movement on that part of the transgender community was started from 1950 to get their constitutional status, but they could not get. So there was a large movement prior to 2014. And if I divided this whole story into the two phase, pre-2014 and post-2014, I would like to say post-2014 is a more active and more effectuative movement is there. And certainly, I hope and I believe we will get success to bring the fact of the humanity, the human value, and human rights into social conscience. So I would like to thanks to all of you. If I have mistakenly could not give the thank to anyone. I would like to thank to them and her and he. So now thanks to all, thanks to one and all who are sitting here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for a great vote of thanks. Well, everybody, up on the panel, we have with us our very honorable and respected chairman, Professor Dr. D.K. Pantopadhyay, sir. Sir is very busy today with so much of work. Chairman, sir, can you see me? Chairman, sir. Sir, he is there. He said he will turn on his camera. Let's see whether sir is able to listen to me. Sir, can you see me? I mean, whatever. But then, even if he's not able to speak, sir said that his blessings are with us. Yes, Chairman, sir, over to you, sir.
Sumitra.
Yes, sir.
Actually, I have joined through my mobile, so you may see me in a different way. Am I audible?
Yes,
Am
sir.
I-
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, audible, sir, audible.
You always audible, sir.
I think it's a great effort done by our legal aid and literacy cell, and we are thankful to the sponsor who sponsored for this webinar series for creating awareness on transgender rules and the rights. So it's really great efforts taken by the cell with the guidance of Dr. Aditya Tomar, and also supported by Dr. A.P. Bhanu and Dr. Shefali Raizada. Really, it is very heartening that so many advocates, they came, they gave their opinion about the transgender rights, their inclusiveness, and also the opportunities that they need to be provided to. But one point that comes very open in my mind, the law is one thing, but implementation of the law is another thing. There are beautiful laws, beautiful rules that have been formulated, but what is lacking over that, no, dear student, it is meant for you, that it is we have to see how best we can provide the rights, about the rights which has been given by the state to the transgenders. And this is all our efforts to be in those direction, and we need to change our mindset, because this mindset which has been created by our society, the mindset which has been created from our family to the school, to the colleges, to the universities, that transgender is not like us. Transgender is a different entity. But I think this awarenesses needs to be brought in, or this change in mindset to be brought in. And here, you, the future generation, have got a tremendous responsibilities for that. Now, this 10 webinar that has been conducted by ALSN, Sumitra, and a team, I think they deserve lots of kudos. And I, as a chairman, I feel proud that they are able to do it within such a short span of time, and just to honor the terms and conditions that was given by the sponsoring authority. So I'm really thankful. I'm really thankful to the persons who are sitting on the webinar, who kindly consented to be present over there. I could not listen them entirely, but I was listening little bit, part of it. But all my thankfulness to them, because they consider ALSN is their home. And we shall look forward for your continued support and your continued guidance, so that our future generation, our students, gets highly benefited. So thank you very much, Sumitra. Over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Let's have a round of applause for our chairman, sir. Thank you, sir. You made it a time. You made it a point that you will be attending this. We are very glad, sir. Thank you so much for motivating us. The entire committee is very humbled and honored. Well, everybody.
याद कर रहे थे आपको, है नहीं? क्यों सुमित्रा? हम लोग याद कर रहे थे कि सर बिजी हैं, सर नहीं आ पाए हैं, but thank you so much, sir. कि आपने कम से कम blessings दे दिया.
It is indeed my pleasure, but due to my already commitment, I could not be there full time, which I would have loved to, because I also wanted to learn many things out of these deliberations and what are the different narratives that are getting generated out of these rules, formulation of the rules after the act was enacted. So I also wanted to get myself educated about them. And I feel students, you are lucky. You are lucky that you are able to hear, about 35, 36 people who came over here and they deliberated on this very important topic.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Bhanu.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
I heard your speech. It was a great speech. I must tell it. Of course, I could not hear others, but I could only hear you. So thank you indeed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you,
Chairman,
Aditya,
Thank you, sir.
for spearheading it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It's just because of your motivation and inspiration, sir. Thank you.
Has Dr. Rajada joined or no?
Yes, sir. Ma'am is here, sir. Ma'am is here.
Okay, so just convey that it is all the team effort. It is all collectivism. Through this collectivism, ALSN essentially reaching, growing in leaps and bounds, and we will be reaching to the top. Thank you.
सर हम लोगों की coalition government है, externally supported by Dr. Sumitra. Coalition government है हम लोगों की सर.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I'm leaving.
Thank you, Chairman,
you, sir.
sir, and thank you, Bhanu sir, for those beautiful words. If I'm able to do that, I'm sure I will be able to connect with Honorable Prime Minister's dream of making Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat. Also, as our founder president, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan sir says that together we have to build an inclusive society, but the base of that should be nation building. So I'm very proud and privileged that we've got support from the judiciary, from the police, from the academia, from the industry, from the corporate houses, and also from so many people across the country and also across the globe. Many people have been texting me and Nitin sir that they wanted to be a part of this webinar series, but many of them we had to say no, because they said that they are interested, but their topics are a bit different. So perhaps we are going to include them in the next webinar series. Thank you so much, National Institute of Social Defense. Got a great help from Satvik ji, Ms. Deepika, Shweta Sehgal ma'am, Dr. Giriraj sir, and the entire management of NISD, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Thank you everybody who made this journey a very fruitful and lovable journey. Lots of love and joy to the transgender community. Thank you so much, Aditya Tomar sir. It's because of you that we got the project. And thank you for including me and Nitin sir as a part of this project. Thank you for including all the faculty members and the students in this webinar series. We are very great and we feel so elated that so many people are again texting us that they want to be a part of transgender and disability rights cell. So without any further ado, I would quickly wind up with one good cause which was said in the past, that there is only one essential justice which cements the society, and that law relates to the justice is justice itself. The law is the right reason, and every arc of justice is very, very moral. As I told, justice flows from the universe. With that quote, thank you everybody who made this webinar series a great grand success. On behalf of our founder president, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan sir, wish you all goodbye and God bless till we meet again on some other portal. This is goodbye and God bless from Amity Legal Aid and Literacy Committee. Bye-bye and take care.
Bye-bye.